Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. Welcome to episode 114 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by my fellow member of the Constellation, Lord Cognito. Cog, how are you today, my friend?
Oh, I'm glorious today. I am doing quite well. I've been in a great mood, just analyzing the internet, just seeing, reactions, and it's been great. I've been very petty. I've been very messy.
Oh, you got messy. Oh, yeah, I'm curious.
We'll explain as we get to topics. But how are you doing? Because I think you're doing better than me.
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, this has been an amazing week for your boy, right? We're talking Budokai Tenkaichi 4. We got a trailer for the Dragon Ball Super card game and a release date for Starfield. Bro, if you've been watching me, listening to my opinions for a hot minute now, you know I just got like 3 things in 1 week that I've been begging for. Like, I can't friggin' believe it. So it is going to be a fun episode. We got so much to go over. Of course, our headliner and what we're going to dive deep into this episode is going to be Starfield, that release date, the developer direct. Of course, your inquiries were picked up for it, so don't worry, we got that here. Thank you so much for joining us in what is going to be a magnificent episode and really gives us some serious perspective on how Xbox's 2023 will go. So, as always, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate those of you who've gone really hard on the mobile reviews for our show. I was taking a look beforehand, and we got at least 10 plus from last week. We appreciate that so much. Just thank you for taking the time to support our show. I noticed a little bit of the bump in the viewership last week. So just know your efforts, they're worthwhile. Thank you for those of you who are on free feeds. I'll explain in a moment what we've been doing to kind of get the show to a new level. But for those of you who go over on Patreon and support us that way, we appreciate you too. We thank you for writing in every week, especially when it's last minute, like Starfield news drops. Y'all pull up. You drop your questions. I right away throw them in the script. So thank you for being as attentive to the show as we try to be as hosts. We appreciate it. Patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you can find all that and more, plus early access to the show. All right. Let's start off with those mobile reviews. So to the scallywags, as we like to call them here on LSM, the freebies.
Let's go.
What we like to do is try to offer workarounds. We know not everyone's willing to be a paying customer, even if you love the show. Mm-hmm. And so what we're trying to do is grow Defining Duke on the mobile front for moments like this. This is a perfect time to discuss what I've been talking about, which is I'm saying, hey, for us as a podcast on Last Stand Media, we are in a more PlayStation-centric ecosystem. That's fine. The audience here is great, very supportive. So I have really no complaints, but it is a more uphill battle for us to get some attention in the algorithm because it gets confused like, oh, PlayStation, this is all working, hence Sacred Symbol's doing as well as it does. And then we come in with Xbox and they go, what the hell is that? So we need the help of our audience as much as possible to keep growing in the algorithm. At least on mobile, we can control our own destiny a bit more. So with your reviews, when people type in that D or they're looking for Xbox stuff, they'll find us very quick for weeks like this where they go, I want an Xbox analysis from the top dogs in the industry. You're right here. And so that's where your reviews come in clutch. So let's read a few. Since we want to make sure we keep a good pace of the show, I actually don't think I'll be able to read all of them because, Cog, I have the link here in our script and good Lord, we have a lot. I mean, that's love, right? We really do appreciate it. So we'll definitely get through a good chunk of them. We encourage you again to please continue submitting if you have the time to. We do appreciate it. It does help our show. I've seen the results already thus far, so please keep it up. Let's start off with Lebowski 4. L&M put the L&M in Last Stand Media. I like that headline there.
I like that. Those bars. I like that.
Seriously, Lord Cognito and Maddie are extremely charismatic in this podcast. I have played PlayStation all my life, but this year I had gotten everything. I had obtained the Series X shortly after getting the PS5 and listened to the Last Stand Media already, so I figured I would give Defining Duke's podcast a shot. The passion for Xbox on this show is unrivaled. Even with very little news, these boys will bring it every show. Do not hesitate to jump on this podcast if you like to be entertained, laugh, and be well informed on things like Game Pass Pick of the Week and new games coming out. I like that a lot of people say we're funny. Yeah, I take a lot of pride in that because I like to think I'm a funny guy, but I'm not like Chris Ray Gun funny where I can do stand up and stuff.
Bro,
I can't do that.
All of us. Yeah.
So I've been told me just living is hilarious, which I don't know if I should be insulted by that or not, but that's what I've always heard in high school, college. Like, oh, you just reacting to things is funny.
Yes.
I guess I'm a funny guy. I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely, it's just the way you react to things. Sometimes I wait to get that anticipation to see how you go process it so I can get my laugh for. Oh, for sure.
I appreciate it.
Shout out to the Lebowski.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got Haru Lau writing in. Good job, guys. I appreciate the fact that you are fans and not soulless shills. Well, thank you. We try our best to stay honest and humble here. We also got Tragedy Man writing in. Smart and entertaining insights from two likable hosts. Or very likable. Sorry, that's what they wrote. Working my way backwards through all the episodes, even though it's old news, because I enjoy listening to the banter and opinions of Maddie and Cog. Keep it up, boys. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, right?
The old news. That's what's up.
Yes, sir. Adam Ash, this one's a review from Great Britain. We like to see that because all regions of the world especially matter. And Great Britain maybe a little less. Okay.
Don't you do that.
See, I can't. That's the thing. That's why I say I'm not funny, because when Colin makes those jokes, you can tell he's joking. When I make those jokes, it sounds like I hate it. Like I hate it with a passion. Like it's like, I don't. But anyway, Adam Ash writes, only started listening to these guys recently, but so glad I did. I don't even own an Xbox, but I like to keep on the loop of what's happening on the other side. They have a great banter and very entertaining to listen to. Great stuff. So we're keeping this ecosystem alive. Apparently, people don't even want to play; they just want to listen.
Yeah, like that. No, that's dope. They get interested in the Xbox ecosystem because of us. That's dope.
Last one, and then we'll send some thank yous to the rest of you who wrote in. Mash3405 writes, sometimes you just know when co-hosts mold and create something beautiful. Similar to Sonic and Tails or Toe Jam and Earl, this is what you get with Lord Cognito and Mr. Matty Plays. Every week they deliver an hour plus worth of content and are not afraid to get into controversial debates like forks versus spoons, or most recently the Oreo debate. Would highly recommend anyone who is interested in video games listen to this one. Thank you, Mash, as well. Thank you to Karu14141. The Zip Popper, that's a really good name. Yes. Downloaded the Apple Podcast app for this one. We also have Big Steven writing in. I Need a Haircut reviewed our show. Alder Slayer reviewed our show. Gears of Rabies reviewed our show. Froman, as well as Digital X Marine, Chappy Chet 11. See, I'm not kidding. Nafambo, Defunct X, Simsetter, Bombard, Russ 1537, Mad for Manaras. I mean, tons of them. So thank you. Please keep it up. It means a lot. It helps a lot. Thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Yeah, much love. It really helps us big time. To see you guys enjoying the content like this, super humbling.
100%. So now we connect with the audience, which you can do over at patreon.com/laststandmedia if you're interested in signing up and writing in, like Enraged Seattle or Seahawk of Seattle did.
I know why you're enraged.
Yeah, I know, right?
Love you,
Hey,
bro.
Maddie and Cog, hope you're having a good day. Just a few minor corrections I couldn't resist as a big DC fan, and we welcome all corrections. We want to make sure the record is straight here.
Yes.
Number one, it's called Elseworlds. That just means it's outside of the DCU frame, and it's on its own thing they use for standalone stuff. Also, James Gunn talked on Twitter about development cycles and how it's about 4 years, and he thinks it can be pulled off as he was a video game writer back in the day. I think he can pull it off as well. It could be similar to Jedi Fallen Order, as that's canon Star Wars, but still its own thing. That last sentence is a really good point. I never thought of that. Number two, Flashpoint movie. Batman and Supergirl are in it because it's a giant comic storyline and a lot of interpretations of it. They've always shown up, and it's going to reboot the DCEU into the DCU. A thought. James Gunn now refers to DC as DC Studios, as it's a separate division within WBD, Warner Bros. Discovery. So they could give the games to DC Studios stamp to let you know it's part of the DCU or tells a story within it. For example, Superman movie will skip the origin story and continue later on. So you tell the story of Superman starring and becoming Superman that leads up to the movie, etc. I think it's the smartest thing to do to tell unique stories that connect to the DCU and can provide some setup. Thanks for your time. Cog, am I a little touch confused on the approach here? Like, am I
No, I mean, it's just so many components to it, man. It's
Yeah.
just so many things to it. And, to the Seahawks credit, thanks for the clarification
Yes, of
on the
course.
additional things. We definitely needed that. I just got to see the execution. It's still a big task. I mean, if anybody can do it, yes, it's good. And I didn't realize he had the video game chops before. So that gives
I
me
did
a
not
little
know
bit.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's actually it gives me a little confidence in him for the task. But we'll see. We'll see because they have to prove on a gaming level that they can execute it. So I'm a little more optimistic though after the homie Seahawk hook us up.
Yes. We appreciate that. Just want to shine a light on something important as well to our fans. Adam Belgarby writes in Yellow Dukes. I've read through a list of all the games I've beaten, hoping to find more abbreviations like Hogleg and Batnet. I gotta say, I'm disappointed. Only two are currently worthy of being circumcised. The first
Yo.
being Lil Mares, of course, being short for Little Nightmares. So that's a good one. However, the second one is much worse. It's definitely what COG would consider phallic. I'm sorry to present to you, Dukes, the shortened version for Senua's sacrifice, Sen's sack. Have a what could Sen be hiding in her sack kind of day.
Bro, we gotta put you on timeout right now. You're too obsessive with it. That is hilarious. I ain't gonna lie. Sensac is absolutely. I'm not trying to. That's Maddie's energy. I let Maddie handle that. That's all Maddie. Me, I'm staying far away from Sensac.
Stay far away.
That's demonetization. Maddie need to stay away from it too. If he knows what's good.
Sure. I gotta make my bread, man.
Exactly.
I gotta say, one thing Starfield is doing right is I can't abbreviate it. I can't. I literally can't. What do I say? Starf? You just can't.
Starfield, the new Starf came out. So, Starf drops.
Yeah, right. No, you just can't. Like, you're not saving any oxygen. You're not saving the world with that. So we'll continue to analyze the titles Xbox puts out and see where we can abbreviate. Redfall is another one. If it's 2 syllables, I mean, that's the goal, right? Boom, 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 boom. So Redfall, Starfield, like we're there, man. Bethesda's doing it right.
Okay, I got you.
The rest of them, they gotta, they gotta get their act together. All right,
step it up phonetically. Let's go.
Couple more write-ins here. Another correction here, Cog. This one's going to be very disappointing for you. Anthony Ragucci writes in, greetings, Mid-Sun Maddie and the legendary Midnight Sun himself, Lord Cognito. A bit of a correction on Cog's end. Unfortunately, the Venom DLC achievements for Midnight Suns are actually bugged, and the Deadpool ones remain still as such. And honestly, this has really taken the wind out of my sails of playing the game. Nothing worse than playing a game, realizing you have to do things again to unlock achievements, especially for an achievement hunter like me. And Maddie, a comment on Octopath 2. I am loving the game and started my travels with the busty thief Throne that ended up being a great move considering she is very close to a secondary job. My question for you, did you notice any serious frame drops while moving in the game's world? When I go past large objects or environments, I notice the game dips hard on PS5. Maybe if the game was on Series X like the OG, this wouldn't be an issue. I hope you haven't encountered 2 really rare monsters within your first 5 battles of the game and they escape kind of day. That pesky Octopuff and Kate. Indeed, I know what you're talking about, Anthony. I'll just say on that end, you might want to reinstall. I haven't had any issues on PS5 at all. Like, the game runs smooth as butter. So if you have it, reinstall it, or I'm sorry, digitally. I guess you could do it physically. Reinstall, make sure your save is up in the cloud, and try it again because I haven't had any issues. But Cog, you got Buggy DLC here. Thoughts?
Yeah, I actually want to clap back at my man. Shout out to the Gooch. It popped for me. Here's the thing. I'm looking at my achievements right now. It popped never been satisfied, which is completely spend and then refill Venom's ravenous meter. So that's part of his mechanic. He gets this ravenous state, and then you have to try to maintain it because to satiate his hunger, he maintains his power level. He's really OP. So I got that the prop, but in his defense, where he's right is that the rest of the achievements for Venom aren't popping. And he's definitely right about Deadpool because we talked about it. Like, I completed all his missions. I updid his research table, all the things that he brings as you get him as a character to the actual strategy layer of the game. And none of that popped, and I'm pissed. So what I would hope is that this is something that is fixable and that people don't have to go through another playthrough to just get there, because that would suck. There's nothing more demoralizing than you actually do the requirements for an achievement and you don't get no credit. So shout out to I'm gonna call you the Gooch, Anthony.
The Gooch.
The Gooch hooking us up with the info. Salute.
Appreciate that. And we got one last write-in before we sprint into the news here. Jay Chimichanga has written in, greetings, Dukes. As requested, I bring more information about my morning routine. Now, for those who don't remember, Jay Chimichanga is the one who did write about 2 bowel movements 30 minutes apart. And I said, I need more information on this. I need you to educate me on
clarity.
Are you sitting there for 30 minutes or are you doing something in between? We now have the important information here that you can continue living your life after you know. As someone who has always been open about my mornings, I get these same inquiries often. So this is already going awry. Like, we're already learning that this guy just shares this like he's proud of it, right? He's very proud of his bathroom habits to the point where he's had to tell this story multiple times. So let's see what Chimichanga has to say for himself. I do not sit there dispensing chocolate for 30 minutes straight. It's not viable as my legs start to numb 10 minutes into the squat. Yes, that's smart.
That's
real. Good. That's real. It's good for the body.
I respect that.
As I leave the comfort at the sound of my third alarm, I make a quick stop at the bathroom where I practice Le Penseur pose for 2 to 5 minutes. I then continue on to fix myself a cup of coffee, make breakfast, and pack my lunch for work. This is part of my routine that takes about 25 minutes, give or take. The second drop does take a little bit longer most times. Now, it's important to me as I prefer to not use public restrooms later in the day as I fear Poseidon's kiss is less intimate, and I'd hate to stroll around with a muddy fissure. I always say, dude, everyone turns into Shakespearean when they want to talk about their
right now. What? He's getting very Shakespearean, very descriptive.
This brings me to Lord Giggles, respectfully's question. I do avoid visiting facilities a third time throughout the day, saving the production of these delicacies for the morning. Okay. If I had to postpone one of the drop-offs to a later part of the day, and I have finished being a part of society, then I will not participate in another shower. However, if I have to go back into the world, I do have to spray any excess sludge off the back porch, as it would become problematic to leave unattended. Hope this clears things up for everybody. Keep up the good work. Your dynamic is solid. You guys are hilarious. Stay hydrated. If it pleases the Dukes, give a quick shout out to my cousin who got me listening to all the Last Stand Media content, Mike, the future Lopez. Happy birthday, my guy. And Mike, you made a mistake, my friend. You now have to live with it.
I know, right?
Yeah, all right, Cog, let's hear it.
Happy birthday to I don't even know where to start with this, man. I really don't. I mean, this is just too much. Like he right now, the analyzation of these movements right now is on such a level right now. And you know what? It's an uncomfortable. I have an uncomfortable level of his meticulousness with this.
Yeah.
He's just way too meticulous with this. And it's just like
25 minutes
25 minutes to a T? Like, bro, I don't know. Like, this is really obsessive behavior. I'm concerned now. Now I got too much information.
Yeah, same. Because when you said you stash till the following morning, bro, just go. Just go. It's not as messy as you think. Unless I've heard some stories from my friends who are messy in the bathroom. I'm just like, I don't know how you pulled that off. Like, I heard some, I don't know how you did. I'll spare the audience to one poop story, a podcast, and maybe do it another time. But good Lord, man. And so I'll just say, I know some dudes can be nasty.
Yes.
But you seem like an eclectic guy based off your vocabulary, Chimichanga. I'm going to assume that you can handle a third drop on the occasion. You don't need to save it for the morning. Your routine will not be destabilized. But there are people who are known as what I've seen the term being nervous pooper. I've seen that be a thing, which means they're afraid of going in a public facility. So like they like think about it constantly. They need to get it out of their system. It's something I saw at LSM writing about, and it felt like they were talking about me in high school. I just like, before you go out,
gotcha, friends,
sports, anything, you got to go. Because my thought process is, what if I go out on the rink? It's like, I don't want to do that on the rink, man. Like that's bad. So obviously I see where Chimichanga is coming from there. I respect the focus on the schedule, but you got to have a little bit of wiggle room here. It doesn't sound like there is any.
Yeah, a little bit more flexibility. But I will empathize with his fear of the public restroom. I do understand that on a
I think it's a little overrated. I think we all see one Walmart bathroom and we freak out. It's like, no, we need to open our mind that not all public restrooms are the same. Like, you go to a fancy restaurant, you're not using that.
No, of course, but you know what it is? I think where my issue, where I think I may relate to him, I don't know if he means this part, but even if not the restroom quality, I remember I had this story before where I don't like seeing the two feet next to my feet. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, there's nothing more. Let me tell you an example. Like, there's nothing more satisfying than going to like a PAX East, right? Let me tell you, I just got a confession. I just realized that I do something now that relates to this. I will seek out less populated and obscure bathroom locations in the facility because I'm like, I'm not gonna go to that one. That's the entrance. It's mad traffic, heavy concentration of people.
PAX bathroom is the worst. You can't go there.
So I will look. I'm like, okay, no one's going. There's nobody on this third floor. That's a restroom that's in the corner. Less traffic.
Okay, you're going hard. I like
right.
It.
So my thing is, I want the least amount of distraction. People, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. To me, there's nothing more demoralizing to me than when I'm already ready to go do business and them 2 feet pull up. Then I'll do some conscious thing like hold it so you don't want to make yourself look not hold it on but hold the explosions. Y'all know what I mean, dude. You know when you by yourself, you like boom.
It's so funny. It's so funny you say that because there's some dudes who have just unbreakable confidence that I strive for. Because I was in the bathroom. I went to like a bar restaurant the other day, and when I was in the bathroom, I'm like, I'm walking out of the stall. And some dude's walking in. He's walking in, phone in his hand. He's smiling, walking to the bathroom. I just noticed it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, whatever. Maybe he's just laughing at something. And I'm washing my hands. And this guy, without hesitation, just blows it up. I'm like, was me, him. He just had to wait 5 seconds. I'm out. That's what I would have done. Just wait. You hear the door close and it's like, boom.
Let him have it.
That's it. But this man didn't care. He walked in smiling. He was feeling good. It's impressive.
It's a level of confidence because like
really is.
If you go blow it up in Dolby Atmos levels and you don't care that anybody's that you don't care, like you got no respect for nobody. You gonna hear my biological explosion. You're gonna feel that dude is another level of confidence. I'm not that guy.
And the best part is based off his outfit, I think he was the cook. And I was like, wow. I was like, that was wet, man. Like, you can't do that. You cannot be the cook doing that and going back to fuck with people's food. I was like, I'm not eating after that. All right, anyway, we spoiled the viewers enough. Let's talk about video games. We got a busy week here.
Yes.
Redfall. Cog, I think you're going to be pleased by this news. Crossplay has been confirmed, and it'll be between Xbox, PC Game Pass, Steam, and Epic Games Store. So between that and the non-tethering, Cog, I mean, I feel like this game's really speaking your language. We know there is a Redfall event. As we're speaking, it's ongoing in various locations. We saw LA, UK. So a lot of people are getting their hands on Redfall right now. And now we're hearing a lot of good news. And when I saw this event, that's when I had a feeling like they can't do a Starfield event soon. They're going to completely shut down Redfall. It wouldn't have made any sense to me. So we get this news here, Cog. It looks like Redfall is really going to have its window now. What do you make of crossplay? And of course, seeing that an event is live for people.
Yeah, no, this is huge. I'm very excited now. I'm such a fan of crossplay. Now, the key, though, I don't know if we got this information came out. Will there be cross progression? I'm very curious about that. I probably doubt it, but crossplay is sufficient enough, especially on the Epic and the Steam stores. Because one thing I hate is that barrier between PC and console, especially with games like this. You need the play account. So I love this. I love that Epic is involved with this. That part kind of surprised me. Yeah. This is good news. I'm excited for whatever is going on. Like you said, an event happening, and the fact that, like you said, if Starfield was here, Redfall would not be able to. We just seen, as we're going to discuss, what the zeitgeist does when an announcement, anything from Starfield is announced.
100%. So Bethesda was wise to play their cards this way. For the record, when it comes to me, I will just say, as we're speaking about the event, I'm currently not attending. I know some people will just ask. So I just want to make it clear for people, I currently don't have an invite. I only found out about it on Twitter like everyone else. I don't know if I'll be going. So just so everyone knows, if you're looking for the Maddie impressions on my channel or something, I wouldn't expect them right now.
Fair enough.
That's what's going on. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, crossplay coming to Redfall. A little note here. We heard about this in December through Ninja Theory, and they've confirmed it, or they firmed it up, and now it's out. Hellblade 2's development documentaries are starting up. The first one is focused on Iceland, so you can go check that out. Potentially ramping up for some type of announcement or reveal, maybe at the summer showcase, I would imagine. But nonetheless, people really appreciate these. The first episode is live. Go check it out if you are curious.
Yes, let's get that Hellblade.
Game Pass, the service that kills video games, did it again, man. The numbers are in, and Wolong Fallen Dynasty is Koei Tecmo's most successful release in the terms of player numbers, as it managed to reach a peak of 75,000 concurrent players within 6 hours of its release on Steam. So this is why I think people are going to Game Pass when they have big games like Wolong, because of marketability, word of mouth, exposure. I think it does more than people do realize. And to see them reaching these type of player counts, 6 hours,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man. I mean, Wolong's fantastic. So I'm happy to see for Koei Tecmo that it's thriving. It's clear people wanted that kind of Sekiro competitor. Definitely a more accessible one after the first boss, that is.
Yes.
Once you get past that, you're good to go, I think. But because you're well trained, you've learned now. But just to see this success, man, is awesome. So what are your thoughts on how Wolong's doing?
Yeah, positive, very positive. Obviously we saw the reviews. Obviously, Lords Gaming, we got a chance to review it. We covered it, and I just think that like Koei Tecmo themselves even said, you know, why did they take the Game Pass deal? And these are the kind of things they talked about. They talked about that user base, that concurrent, that active engagement in a title like this, and that brings value. And then you're seeing, like you said, the exposure. So salute to the team, man. I'm very happy for them, for Team Ninja. This is a good look, and everybody's learning about the name Lubu.
Yes, they are. It's awesome to see, because I played Dynasty Warriors so much growing up, and that was the guy, like the guy you always avoid. And I feel like everyone knew that who played Dynasty Warriors. Like when you saw him on the map, oh God, stay away. But now Wolong is almost popularizing that, where it's like this, oh, did you beat Lubu? Did you beat Lubu? I love how that's becoming like a zeitgeist.
Yeah, it's like his name is ringing off. So the Dynasty Warrior has to be like, okay, the rest of the world is catching up to the legacy of that character.
I love it. But great game. And if you have not tried it, for those who don't know, available day one on Game Pass. I reviewed it, played it to completion. Shorter than your typical Koei Tecmo Team Ninja game. Took me about 25 hours to get through. Very manageable length. And that was with side content. Very manageable in comparison. So if you're interested in that first boss will crush you probably. Once you get by that, you'll learn. You know how to do better. The game is much easier, I believe. So go try it out. It's a really good time. And you can play it in full co-op after that first mission. So it's a good time. All right. We already knew about this thanks to previous reports, but now it's official. Joe Staten is returning to Xbox Game Studios Publishing as a creative director. He actually posted on Twitter, the way he announced it was he changed his bio and then quote tweeted the newest Halo trailer for season 3 and said, "Can't wait to check this one out as a fan." So Joe Staten is officially out.
Yes, the transition has begun, and salute to Xbox Game Studios Publishing. They're going to get somebody absolutely fantastic. So 100%. I think he bolsters that part of the business. And Halo, you know, we have to see how. My concern is just narratively how things continue, but I have thoughts on Halo later. We'll talk some more.
Excellent. Yeah. Season 3 looks great. I have yet to try it because I've been messing around with some other things, but I have yet to try it. But I am excited to dive in. It does look good. And if they can keep up that kind of pace, I don't know if it'll be a storm comeback like people are imagining, but if it can stay strong, I think 343 will be plenty pleased with that so that they can take their time with the next entry of Halo, which I think we're talking about a little too soon. Probably sooner than they would have liked.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite also has successfully passed 1 million Forge creations. Obviously, this is the lifeblood of the game. This is what's going to really keep that content pumping out. So it's good to see here that people are utilizing those features and helping build content for the game.
Yeah, Forge is absolutely phenomenal. Again, every time we do a community stream, the Lords, we do that. We get Halo. The whole community plays with us. Forge is so much fun, and the creativity is amazing. So yeah, it's going to give lifeblood. Not surprised at all that this is happening now that it's fully implemented. We're going to see more of it. And they're getting creative. I love it.
This one is a little nugget I discovered, and I don't know if it's anything we should put a ton of stock into, but I felt it's worth calling up. So according to their LinkedIn profile, Gia Nyugen, who is the founder of New M Studio, has provided concept art for Indiana Jones projects, plural, projects, from 2020 to 2023 for Machine Games. I thought this was, again, noteworthy because as far as we knew, there was only one Indiana Jones game in development. Machine Games has been quiet for some time. I don't think this is absolute direct confirmation that Indiana Jones has multiple games in development. They haven't even released one yet. We haven't even seen the first one, whatever it'll be, in action. But it shows that they've definitely at least been prototyping multiple ideas, I think, because it dates back to 2020 to 2023 concept art. Like, that's a pretty big stretch of time for previs. So at least from what I've heard and seen and experienced, it differs from studio to studio. But I still thought it was worth calling out that this game still seems very early on in production.
Yeah, absolutely. Machine Games projects would be interesting if conceptually they had in their mind a series, that they wanted to do long term. If you see those boardroom slides, if that's the case, we'll see. Like you said, they got to get the first one out. Very curious about this game. Very curious because we know what Machine Games does, but what is Indiana Jones going to be? The whole concept, and especially the first person, third person mode. If because we know them as like the first person. Wolfenstein, woo, man, I love those games. So I am very curious the execution here. How does this gameplay turn out? Not that it's going to be terrible, just what angle they go with replicating an Indiana Jones in that universe. I'm very, very curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we already know Todd was saying it's a very unique game. It's not just like one type of game. So we know it's going to be switching things up a lot. It makes sense why they're spending so long on it, especially if they're building it from the ground up. Yeah. So we'll hopefully see that in time. But I'm just, to me, the biggest mystery of the Machine Games is Wolfenstein 3 in development. I don't know. Because like Bethesda already confirmed years ago, there will definitely be one. I don't know if it's soon, I guess. But, is that coming out before or after? It's a big question mark that I'm hoping we can get some type of clarification within the next year or so, just to find out what is happening with that team. But I guess they'd rather them lay low and stay quiet because there's no pressure that way.
Or, you got a big show that was announced, that you conference, you could do something in June, just let people know what's going on. Maybe see a little,
maybe
JPEG or something.
JPEG.
Something.
I think after the Starfield delay, Xbox would be wise to start, and Forza, to start, keeping things a little close to the vest, just a little bit, because now Fable and stuff is starting to look a little awkward. Avowed, it's like, we need updates, man. Like, did these get announced too early? Maybe so. We'll discuss all of that and more. We have plenty of write-ins, but
we'll discuss.
Let's keep progressing here. A new patch for High on Life is out. It adds quality and performance options for Xbox Series consoles. So if you're interested in that still and you were waiting on that, it's now in the game.
And remember what I said when we talked about performance stuff the last week. You notice it does come, but you know what I'm saying? It comes a little late. They're getting to the middle. They have to figure that part out. But that was my main thing that I didn't fear because I do see the updates come.
Yes, absolutely. Now this one. Oh,
let's go.
This one.
I hear this.
During Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2023, a new Budokai Tenkaichi game was revealed by Bandai Namco after a 15-year hiatus. That's obviously excluding Ultimate Tenkaichi, which was a fan-voted name, and to me, doesn't count at all. That game sucks. The announcement came without any gameplay, release window, or platforms. All we know currently is it's in development. Less coveted, but perhaps more exciting to some, is the extensive trailer shown off for the Dragon Ball Super card game, which is finally getting a digital version after being on the market for 5 years. Bandai announced that they are holding a closed beta on March 25th and 26th to test things out with a limit of 12,000 participants. Pen and Pant writes in, Budokai Tenkaichi Dukes, with the return of this amazing sub-franchise of Dragon Ball fighting games, what do you hope to see in the fourth entry? I would like to see the story mode encompass all of DBZ and DBS, but also include Goro and Granola arcs from the manga. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Hashtag Crocs. Get that out of here.
Get that hashtag out of here.
Come on, you had a great write-in until that point.
You were good. Wipe your feet when you come in here.
All right, Cog. I got to know first before I go off. Have you played Budokai Tenkaichi at all?
You literally sound like you just spoke another language.
I did.
He's like, did you play? I was like, what? That was Lali. You literally could have said that. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Dragon Ball Z.
This is the yellow pants dude, right? With
Yellow pants. It's orange, bro. Come on.
See, there it is.
Come on now.
This is Gohans and Gokus and
Yes. There you
Freezers, right?
go.
This is these guys. Okay,
Yes,
tell
these
me what's
guys.
going on. What is the relevance with Budokai
Yeah, so
Tenkaichi? What's
the
going on?
idea here is a little history here.
Let's go. Break it down. Young talk.
There was Budokai, right? This is the think of maybe like old Tekken, right? Like it's 2D fixed camera, but you can rotate around the arena, like 3D elements.
I got you.
Very much like that. That was what Budokai was, but it was a 2D fixed fighter. Budokai Tenkaichi is the title for the games that entered the 3D space. So the camera was like fully rotating. It was much more cinematic, much more action packed, a little less technical though. It was almost, we're sacrificing technicality for shock and awe and presentation and that type of stuff. And it's definitely like, I think Budokai is definitely the better series, but Budokai Tenkaichi is known for two things. Number one, at the time capturing the anime really well, but also number two is it's insanely big character rosters, huge, like 150 plus characters. So that's why Budokai Tenkaichi is a big deal, because for a lot of people, we thought this series was dead. No one was really asking for a fourth. It wasn't like one of those situations where please bring it back, Bandai. Of course, people were saying it, but not en masse because, they've evolved through that. We got Dragon Ball Fighters. We got Xenoverse. We got all these different Dragon Ball games, and they just continued to experiment and try different fighting styles and whatnot. And like with Fighters, I mean, you got the best ever, I think, Dragon Ball fighting game to be made. It's by Arc System, the presentations, voice acting, music, perfect. Literally the perfect Dragon Ball game.
I have the clarity because you got to educate me. So which one does the Dragon Ball Z community, like you said, which one is that you guys consider the best of the bunch? Like what's the standard?
Back then or now?
Both.
I think now people would say Fighters is the best, but there's a lot of reverence and adoration for Budokai Tenkaichi.
Okay, gotcha.
Like that era of Budokai and Budokai Tenkaichi, two separate series.
Would it be accurate to say that the Budokai series is less technical, but more bombastic and
the Tenkaichi was? Yeah.
Tenkaichi was. Okay, gotcha. Is that more anime sensibilities where people love it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like high hit combos, very flashy, at least for its time. So when no one was really expecting a fourth game or whatever this is going to be a reboot, because like I said, they moved on. They did Raging Blast. They did all these different games. So for it to come out of nowhere, it was like, oh my God, they're bringing it back. It was such an amazing out of left field announcement. I'm trying to think of a comparison. It's as if Mega Man Battle Network for me just came out and said, here's a seventh game. All these years later, why? Why now? It's kind of this, like all these years later, we're back. It's like we weren't asking, but we're thrilled to have you here. It's like a family member.
I remember you.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why there's excitement. Now, for me, pen and pan, what do I hope to see? I hope we don't get the Xenoverse treatment. Xenoverse has been milked quite a bit. They continue to just add content on. And Budokai Tenkaichi, remember what I said, one of its hallmarks, its calling cards, if you will, was the character roster. 150 plus characters in the Dragon Ball Z era. It's only more now with of course Super and the manga maybe. So this is an intense undertaking for them. The expectations are pretty high. Like, are you guys gonna sacrifice the depth of the fighting game to instead have this huge roster? Are you gonna shrink it down and make it more of a technical 3D fighting game? We don't know anything about the game. We didn't really even see it in action. We just know they're developing it. And so that's what's really fascinating about it, is they can go a number of directions, but I'm a little apprehensive because I trust Bandai. I think they actually do make good games. And especially when I look at One Piece Odyssey, it's like, oh, nice. Like you guys are even experimenting, making One Piece RPGs. Like, this is great.
Yes.
But with this, it's like, it's primed for that Xenoverse treatment. It's primed for it. Like, oh, the series with the identity of a roster, that's huge. How can we monetize that? And they'd be stupid not to. People still play Xenoverse 2 in mass. They still support that game all these years later. It came out in 2016, I think, or 2017, one of those years. So it's still getting tons of support, still getting new character packs, new story packs.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's why I'm a little like, okay, if y'all are responsible with this and say, like, here's just a nice arcadey 3D fighter with a nice roster, fans will be happy. Fans will not complain at all. Like, this is such an easy win for them, quite frankly. But it's if they actually do it the right way. But if they get greedy, that starts to take over, which I could see happening as easily. Man, a little nervous then, but exciting announcement nonetheless. I agree with Pen and Pant that more than anything, I want him to do Dragon Ball Super. We've had 1,000,001 Dragon Ball Z games. We have recapped that story, which every Dragon Ball game does, recapping the Z story, or in the case of Xenoverse, going to events throughout Dragon Ball Z and eventually Super, and the timeline's distorted, so fights happen differently, scenes play out differently, so it's cool. But otherwise, it's just recapping. But we never got like a true video game recap of the Dragon Ball Super storyline. So for me, I'm hoping we get that here. I'm hoping Budokai Tenkaichi from Bandai is that. Like I want a DPS focus. I feel like Z has done its thing for 20 years now. I want to just make Super as important. And it is, but I want it to be, it can stand on its own. I don't think we need Z. And I love Z. It's one of my favorite anime of all time. I love Z.
So I'm happy for you, man. This is big. Bro. This is big. I'm very happy for you.
The card game, don't even get me started. Fun fact here. For those who don't know, I don't know if Bandai is actually working on this, because I contacted my usual Bandai rep and I said, hey, I actually want to get my hands on this and cover it if I can. Are you guys having any ops available for, a beta or whatever, or for the beta that's coming up, where I could make sure I get it? I said, I signed up. I'm playing fair ball. I'm just making sure if there's any opportunities, because I'd like to cover it. And they were like, oh, I found out at the same time you did, actually. I'm like, they're like, we're not even sure if we're handling it. Yeah. So, but it was announced by Bandai, so it's somewhere in there. I just thought that was very, very interesting. So no content creator opportunities for that. So I will be one of 12,000, hopefully, but we will see.
We need to get you in there, man. We got to get you in there. That's your journey.
We'll see. But part of me also wants to wait, because that game's dangerous. That game is...
Oh, it's old for you.
No, like that's not even a joke. I played that game. People don't know. I went to stores all over the state to play that game weekly. I fucking love Dragon Ball Super, the card game. That shit is so good. And I'm going to scream about it every week when I'm playing it here on this show. So prepare yourselves in advance.
You're ready.
Because they went all out, man. They could have just made the card game and I would have been happy, but they put animations in, like Goku and Vegeta fighting. They're starting with set 1. I'm like, yes, the game's so complex. People need to be able to understand it. Just they're doing so much more than I expected. I have a feeling it's going to do very well. I think it's going to sneak up on a lot of people, because that game is good. It's fair. It's balanced. Oh man, I cannot wait. So good week for me. Good week for me so far.
Man, it's having a week right now, boy. What?
I am, bro. I am. So let's move on to this next one here. I'm curious if you have any thoughts, because I sent this game to you and I thought you may be of interest in it. Paradox Interactive, they have announced Cities Skylines 2, Life by You, Europa Universalis 4, and I think most interesting for Xbox fans is the Lamplighters League. They should keep an eye on this one, they being Xbox fans, because it's set to release only on Xbox and PC, and it's a game where Indiana Jones meets XCOM. Don Otaku writes in, what up, Crusader King Cog and Magica Maddie? Paradox Interactive has long gone underappreciated as a strong but silent supporter of Xbox and Game Pass, with tons of day one releases and seemingly everlasting titles in the service. They have some low-key, huge commercial successes that most probably won't name drop on their Gangsta List Wars, but probably are more successful than the ones they would. You can tell how lucrative the partnership is for both Xbox and Paradox with the event for the publisher hosted on Xbox's channel. The Lamplighters League by the Shadowrun team looks amazing and is a console exclusive turn-based tactics with a real-time element for infiltration. COG, I know you feeling this. They also announced Cities Skylines 2, which will be a sure huge hit and a monster get for Xbox, as it's going to be day one Game Pass. Wait, I almost said the dicks. Do the Dukes smell what I'm
definitely not that.
Do the Dukes smell what I'm smelling? Take a deep breath. It smells like there's some acquisition in the air. How do you guys feel about a potential Paradox Interactive acquisition? Also, how are you guys feeling about the new Xbox exclusive for 2023? My hype levels have peaked with a non-indie competitor to The Sims and a Budokai Tenkaichi 4 announcement in the same week. I must be dying soon. Kinda day. All right, Cog. So I feel like this is lower turn-based video game here. This Lamplighters League, it's all you from the Shadowrun team, as Don Otaku wrote in. What's the feel here? Do you like what you see?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good, man. I like the art style. I like the direction. Anything to keep the turn based and especially those directly inspired from XCOM. I
Mm.
love that. I've got PAX East coming up and been looking at some of the appointments I'm making, and I'm seeing turn base ain't dead yet. I'm seeing some things, man. So I'm like, all right, and this is what I don't know. I'm not saying they're gonna be there, but seeing this game kind of evokes that. I also like the what I saw from the City Skyliner joint because
So popular. People love that
yeah,
shit.
like I wasn't keen to the French. I wasn't like new. I like know about it a lot about it, but I was looking at the trailer, the information. I'm like, yo, this could be like I used to get into them sim type joints. You know what I mean? Back in the day,
Oh,
it could get addicting to me. That's a genre I haven't gone back to in some time. But I was the guy that I used to play like Sim City and love Sim City.
mm.
As a kid, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting, building town, whatever." Then when they, flesh it out more to the Sims and individuals and things like that, it could get really addicting. So salute to them. As far as to the Dawn's question, we got to see. Sometimes even though I am Lord Acquisition,
Mm.
sometimes the relationship is great as it is, where it's like maybe they like their independence. They clearly like these Game Pass deals, you know what I'm saying? So, and Microsoft is valuing this relationship by offering it to them. So we'll see. We'll see. But sometimes not everything has to end in acquisition if both parties are just, friends with benefits. We
Oh,
outside. We outside.
you're on
Like
a
I
roll today with your little connections. Wipe your shoes off before you come in here. Friends with
yeah.
benefits. Look at you.
I'm ready. I'm ready. It's a different type of energy this year. And it's just like,
Hmm.
look, you know, things are doing well. What's that? It's an expression, pretty much when things are like doing well, you just don't upset it. You don't need to
Hmm.
necessarily change the thing. I forget the expression on top,
If
but
it's not
that's
broken, don't
basically
fix
just
it. Yeah.
there you go.
Hmm.
You got it. See, the fellow Duke
Yeah,
saved me
that's
there.
how we
So
complete each other here.
we complain. You already know. I know we do it. But yeah, man, this is good. This is good. I like these type of games and fit perfectly with a Game Pass because
Hmm.
on their own, it'll be kind of hard to sell that to someone and be like, yo, don't pick up the gangster list game, right? But pick up this joint, So yeah, that's where I'm at. Where you at with these? How did you feel about these titles?
Yeah, cities, skylines too. That's the type of game I stay away from. I don't think I have this uncontrollable, addictive personality, but when it comes to I remember I always tell this story. Civ 5, downloaded it, played one of the campaigns in high school, college years.
Okay, okay.
I remember playing it, and 18 hours disappeared before the flash in my eyes. Like it was just gone. I remember finishing the campaign in like a day or two. But this is when I had a lot of free time, mind you. And I finish it up. I see the hour clock. I'm like, no. I was like, no, that was no. I was like, that's bad, man. Like I didn't even know that completely disappeared. I uninstalled. I was like, I can't do it. I can't. I have more self control now, but I know these games just scratch the right itch for me. I love the micromanaging of like resources and
Yes.
assets and growing my
Yes.
empire, and especially in like Civ, for example, finding victory in war or politics or science. I love that shit so much. I don't talk about it
Ooh,
much because I don't play it much anymore because I know
because
it'll siphon away all my time and I'll be pulling 5 a.m.ers every night. It'll be bad. So I self-control move for me. So Cities is a great pickup. Lamplighters League, I'm with you. I think it looks great. Like it looks a little rough around the edges, but I think that's where Game Pass will benefit it. And I'm happy to see Xbox investing in these types of games. It seems like they enjoy these Indiana Jones types of games because they have also that one from Devolver, I think, that looked like oh my god, it kind of had the Indiana Jones trials, if you will. Like they're
oh
going through
yeah.
these tombs. It's first person. I don't know. Maybe
Hmm.
that's not Game Pass, but I'm
Okay.
struggling to remember what it is. But if it is on Game Pass, and that's now 2 games plus the Indiana Jones game we were just talking about, that may be 3 if I'm remembering correctly.
Hmm.
So they seem to like what's cooking here, and maybe it's because they see the movies coming out in June. They're thinking, oh, it might be, with our games, some renewed interest. So let's get in on that,
Hmm.
shall we?
Clearly, listen, man, they get these multiple deals. They clearly have internal metrics that they're seeing Xbox is liking this relationship. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, friends with benefits, man. Like, come over and spend the night whenever you want. Come through. There's that type of energy right now. You got to
Yes,
let the
yes,
developers
yes.
do their thing. I
I
like
love
it.
it. All right. Next up here, and the last one before we talk about what we're playing. Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda is stepping down after 10 years in that role. He will be replaced by Takahashi Kiryu as part of the organizational restructuring. So, following what happened with the Western Division, his pledge to NFTs, a lot of financial failures, Forspoken apparently he was a big advocate of, he is out. And I think this is the right call, unfortunately, because a lot has gone south under his watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but generally this is what happens in corporate, right? When there's a series of missteps, it goes to the top, right? So we'll see. I just hope that what's the homie Kiryu, hopefully you can remember that there's another platform called Xbox and that it's okay to still give them a port here and there and stuff like that. And that's just where I'm at.
Yeah. Octopath Traveler 2 says hello.
Yeah, especially when you set the precedent and you make the first one, or maybe it's a chance to revisit and kind of clear up the gaps on missing ports and franchises that other communities may be interested in.
Yeah. I'm hoping Phil's making some calls, smelling some change in the regime and saying, hey, how's it going, Kiryu-san? You interested in maybe partnering up for something moving down the line? Do you remember our console? Do you need development kits, perhaps? We can provide them. That type of stuff.
Jason Ronald over there, just try to make some trips. Just try to make some trips and make sure that he knows who you are, Phil. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe there was that little communication situation we could fix.
Indeed. All right, well, that's the news for now. For the record, we have one warm-up question this week after we talk about what games we're playing, because quite frankly, I want to get to Starfield as soon as possible. I just want to dive into that so bad. Yes. So we'll talk about what we're playing. In case you're wondering why there's less questions in that section, that is why I have backloaded it so there are more at the end of the episode. So with that, Cog, we have a diverse selection of games here. We got one we're sharing, technically two this week we're sharing. I'm very excited to get into it all. I'll let you kick it off because we overlap here.
Yes. Obviously, it's that season again. It's the season of Destiny. Lightfall is here, and it's been controversial. But,
yes, I want your updated thoughts because I imagine you've had time to finish, and I know you're the level-headed guy here. A lot of people disappointed. I'm hearing the seasonals better than the actual main content. So hit me with it, man. What is happening with Lightfall? What's the COG report?
All right, so here's what's going on. So after the emotionality of me being disappointed with the narrative of the campaign gameplay was fire, but that narrative, again, the best expression I can give is watching Infinity War. No one tells you who Thanos is. No one tells you why the Infinity Gems are important. What can they do, and how do you get them?
I'm hearing a lot about this veil.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The veil is the key. It's like, okay, we didn't know what this is. I don't want to spoil it, but that's where the disconnect is. Gotcha. The other little small disconnect is that Strand is introduced in the game, and it's almost, even though it's a new power, it's almost a plot point that is also not explained thoroughly, right? So got off of that, so I'm like, damn, they really, oh no.
They missed.
They missed on that joint. There's no doubt. I'm not even
going to weird after Witch Queen.
Right. Like, how did this happen to them, right? So obviously we see the pushback. We see everybody upset. Now, after front. Now, since then, the game is now opened up. The seasonal content with Morozov, I forgot the exact name of the season, but Defiance. Season of Defiance content is amazing. I am loving the gameplay loop. I am loving the narrative beats of what's going on and explaining on what we have to do to kind of gear up, right? Then the second thing is the exotic quests have been great. I've been loving, it's been filling out these, not every lore gap, but lore gaps that people have complained about in the past. One of my biggest beefs, one of my favorite characters, Osiris, he lost his light at one point. They did an off-screen death of his ghost, and this ghost was like very synonymous. His name was Segura to the character. Like, it was like the yin to his yang, and like we never got no clarity. It was an off-screen. Like, what? So they did a quest that did a nice callback to that. They did some other quest that beautiful skylines, skyboxes that harken back to D1 lore, and for people who've been there, the quests have been great. I'm going to tell you right now, I was wrong about Strand. I thought Strand was very underwhelming in the campaign. Once you unlock the fragments, and shout out to Bungie for that time, they stopped the time gating of the fragments to give you more powers to the abilities.
Mm.
And they just said, okay, because they see the negative review. It must have been like, unlock everything, let them play.
Yeah.
Right? Bro, these builds are insane. Strand is dominant, right? So you got all that going on. We got that. Then I don't care what nobody says. I'm gonna say this. So I'm gonna give my last word, listeners. I'm gonna give y'all some early bars because this is what I'm gonna give y'all.
Let's go, sir.
They ain't slick. They dropped a secret, one of Bungie's two of the best things they do, a secret exotic quests where you just wake up in the world one day and you're like, yo, I'm in this normal area that I am. What the hell is this going on? Like something, and it leads to a whole storyline, a whole secret quest, and it's challenging content, very engaging. The classic ones would be Whisper of the Worm, Outbreak Perfected. These are powerful guns that you obtain by doing these secretly in the world. Randomly, Bungie puts it in, and the community comes together to figure out a puzzle, and the community figured this thing out. They literally put in a random quest. It led to this thing called Vexcalibur. Yo, this joint is crazy. We learn more lore. We learn about a character who we thought got evaporated in D2's campaign. His name's Asher Bear. He's absolutely hilarious. He's like the man.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know because I know.
More on that later.
More on that later. But anyway, so yo, chef's kiss, beautifully done. Oh my God! But you can't tell me that listen, they never release exotic quests before the raid. Everything is usually grind, and we get ready for the world's first raid, which is, as of recording right now, this is going to be this Friday. That's the grind. I think my boy Travis scared him because his 5 was
yeah, he did.
I think Travis scared them. IGN's a big platform. They gave it a 5 currently, review in progress. I wouldn't give it a 5, but me and Travis will speak later. I know where he's going. But anyway, so now this quest drops. You've got all these other missions that's dropped. You got the seasonal Now I'm like, if they pull off this raid, now the key for COG is the raid. You've never been around for World's First. This is a thing.
I'm watching closely.
Yeah, you gear up. The soft cap, they said, is about 1780. So if you get, as long as you get to 70, 80, it doesn't matter. Anything higher than that will not give you any additional advantage. So that's where it's going to cap at. It's going to be contest mode, each encounter challenging. If they execute with the mechanics and, a good boss fight and maybe have a little bit more narrative lore on what might be next, they may salvage this. So as of right now, Witch Queen, Forsaken, the 2 best Destiny 2 expansions ever. God tier, right?
Okay.
Middle of the pack, probably Beyond Light and then Shadowkeep. Right now, I have it battling with Beyond Light. It's really good. Beyond Light's raid was good. But if I will say this, if what you call its raid, Lightfall's raid is good, Root of Nightmares, it will be 3rd place, despite the narrative fumble. That's how
I've heard that the raids can play a huge part in the story. It's almost like the conclusion of the story. So
yes. Okay. So we'll see. I don't have hopes that it's going to be a direct conclusion. It may give us a little nuance. Sometimes they go off into a little side pocket too. It's a contained story also. So I don't want to get too crazy like, yo, the raid's gonna come, it's gonna save the narrative. I'm not there yet, but I do think if they execute a good raid, good mechanics, everybody likes it, this will raise up that score, and it will be right in it'll be the best of the middle pack of the expansions where I'm at. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. So
you mind if I just chime in? Just
yes, please,
2 birds, 1 stone with Destiny 2.
Yes,
because
let's go.
Yeah, I just figured it would be best to do it all in one fell swoop.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I've been playing. I've been updating you as I go along, messaging you as I go along, because this is
my young guardian doing
so all new to me. It really is, and I got good news and bad news, man.
Let's break it down.
There are parts of this game I love. There are parts of this game I go, oh, I get it. I get the adoration from everyone. But this is also, I would say, one of the worst managed video games and worst starter experiences I've ever seen.
Thank you for saying that.
To a point, there were moments I was like, oh, I get it. And then I went, I don't get it. By that, I mean, I would be playing the game, having fun in a dungeon. Is that what they were called?
Yes.
Amazing. This 3-person mini raid, did the prophecy. It was a ton of fun. This mechanic where you're in the shadows. I found it out late in the dungeon too. I was like, oh, it was there the whole time. We were still struggling to figure it out. getting these light motes, these dark motes. And, like cover me. And your friend like blows up one of the little portals and it frees one of the enemies. Super difficult, super challenging, requires a lot of collaboration.
Mechanics.
Awesome. Like I was like, this is what it's all about, man.
Raid could get you. Dungeon can get you.
Yeah, I know. The raid's going to be dangerous for sure. I got to figure out like how I can do that. Because number one, I don't have a big enough squad. Number two, I don't know what I'm doing. Number three, I can't imagine me going like 6 hours uninterrupted like people talk about. Like, I don't know if they're that long or if it's like they're that long if you're figuring them out. But there's no like middle point that I don't know, you could save your game. That would be so nice. I know
it saves the checkpoints. It saves the checkpoints. You don't have to do the whole thing in one sitting.
Oh,
so basically, so there's like, it's encounters. So let's say each raid may have 4 to 5 encounters. So as long as you beat the first encounter, it only goes back to the beginning if like come reset. So like say if it's Tuesday, let's say the raid drops Tuesday, I'm just theoretically, you've got a week to get it done and maintain your progress while you're doing it. But once
that's so much better. Okay.
Yeah.
I was a little worried about that. I was a little worried.
That's great. Every time you got to do it in 6. Oh, no.
I don't know. Cause you talk, here's how I was looking at it. Cause again, this is clearly a point of me showing I don't know much about the game, right? I'm trying to learn. Is like, you'll like type in the doc here, like, raid prep. And I'm thinking you're like grinding, you're getting your power up and like, you got to do it all in one fell swoop. Like you're clearing out the evening for it. Like it's a whole big thing. That's what it sounds like a holiday for Destiny fans. So I didn't know that. But what I was saying earlier is like moments like the dungeon, at least I haven't done a raid yet, but moments like the dungeon, I love. What I don't love at all, Bungie is slick. So bro, I started this one mission. I think, where is Lightfall set? Was it not Neptune? What was it?
Neomuna. I forget what planet it is now. I'm blanking on the planet.
It's some planet we know, I think. And yes. I we're just figuring it out through this mess of a UI. And we end up in this campaign mission for the start of Lightfall. And I knew it was Lightfall when I picked up the strand. I'm like, like I'm freaking out. Like, this is so much fun. I'm having a blast. I did the opening mission to Forsaken or something like that. I'm like, this is great too. I love where they're going. I love this narrative. I love the production value here. I'm like, this guy gives me Halo vibes. I'm loving that. And I finish up these missions, and each time they're like, check out this expansion. I'm like, I'm like, okay, no problem. Like, it's a free trial, if you will. It's a free to play game, but it's not. It's a free trial is how I'm defining it right now. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the base game campaign. So me and my friends were hunting around the UI. We're going through the journey or whatever it's called, that tab. Going through, yo, bro, I can't find a campaign mission. I can't find one. So I start doing some research. I contact my source, Lord Cognito. I'm like, hey man, where's the campaign? And I fucking learned they vaulted the main story. And like 4 other fucking Now, I knew they vaulted stuff. I knew, Cog, and I was one who stood against it. But now I am vehemently against it. I know they said they are never vaulting again. Thank God. That's the dumbest shit of all time. It really is. They fucking vaulted the main story, bro. I have no idea what's going on. And they're like, go watch videos, go read lore.
Yeah.
Let me play the game. I mean, I get breaking it up into free to play, enticing me to sell stuff. Because what they put there, like there was this one mission we went through, man. We were going through like a ship, lots of corridors. We were jumping on floating asteroids to get to another ship. I don't know which campaign that was, because that was during my time of ignorance where I'm like, the base campaign's fire. The base campaign.
There's probably no explanation for the new player. No explanation of which the sequence or nothing.
It just says campaign mission. It doesn't say campaign mission - witch queen or whatever. I'm like, this is fire. Oh, man. It would remind me so much of Halo. Dude, I was stunned. I was like, yo, bro, like they did hit it. Like, then I learned, right? So between that and the beginner experience, man, there's so much I really do like about Destiny 2, but there's so much I'm just like, I have such PvE brain with it. It's like, I'm not doing PvP. I'm not grinding. Give me my new stories. I'm out. I don't give a shit about seasonal, whatever. I'll do your raids. But like, I think that's the energy I got right now until I get deeper. But I'm enjoying it. It's just we're trying to go at a healthy pace, right?
Gotcha.
We're not trying to sign up to the full-time job Destiny 2 experience,
Yeah.
right?
It becomes a job.
We just want to play the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to buy. Pardon me again if I'm forgetting these names. Like the Forsaken DLC.
Yeah.
The first one
excellent.
in the story, because I know I was talking to you. It's like what Forsaken, Beyond the Light, Witch Queen, and then Lightfall. So we want to do the stories for all those and the raids.
Right. So the Red War campaign, which is vaulted, that you can't do anymore. Then it's that was the first one for Destiny 2. Then obviously you got your Forsaken, and then obviously the what you call the Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, and then which I wrote out for you. But you made a good point, and this is something that me, Ebontis, Travis, we talked about in the last word. Destiny hardcore players forget that we do this as a full-time job, but for the new person, it is extremely confusing. And then
I'm not even exaggerating, bro. I game every day of my life, pretty much. I've never been more lost than I have been in Destiny 2. I'm like, this is one of the most popular games. Imagine if it wasn't confusing. Sorry, go on.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of it also stems from, and I got to call Bungie out on this, they just get away with too many monetization models. This is free, but this ain't free. This you get, but you got to pay for that. And it's just... It's like they give you a taste. Like, hey, you like that campaign? You like that little mission?
That's fine if the base campaign's there, in my opinion. Yes, I don't mind that at all, because each of those COG were so enticing. I could see the steady progression. Like when I got to the Lightfall mission, granted, I had no idea what was happening in the story, but you know what? I knew it was Lightfall before the Strand stuff. I heard the dialogue, and I remember you going, it's kind of cringe. And I was like, oh no. I was like, this doesn't sound like anything else I heard in the game so far. I was like, guys, I think this is Lightfall.
He's like, the bad dialogue. The car was talking about, this is it. Yeah, because it was just bad. But salute to you for trying to navigate, at least give it. At least you have
I'm keeping going, bro. I'm sticking with it.
Gameplay. Okay, cool. Now, salute.
Yeah, we're not dropping it. We're here.
Yeah, I think for you, what a lot of people do, main expansion, once a year, you know what I'm saying? That's it. You ain't got to do all the seasonal homework, college courses, and stuff, crazy stuff that we.
That's what YouTube exists for me.
Yes, exactly. And Destiny wants you to go to YouTubers to learn how to play their game, unfortunately.
They sure do. If the main story
they're employing a ton of careers. I would just say that.
Yes,
so anyway,
that's all I got to say about Destiny 2. Thought we'd do two birds, one stone.
No, perfect. And then the second one is Naraka.
Yeah.
Had to fire it back up, man. Man. They have a Wolong crossover event, which is really, really cool. They're getting ready to debut a new character in like a week or two, which I can't wait, excited about. But my character's name is Ye-Sean. He kind of looks like a general from the Legacy era, from that Dynasty warrior. He kind of looks like that ilk. And what they're doing is they're giving you a lot of Wolong, like kind of like pieces and cosmetics, and then you even get, for the final part of this series, all you gotta do is just log in and play every day. It's simple to complete.
Yeah,
you get the classic Lubu helmet that he wears.
I didn't see that.
From I'm like, I need this. I can make my character look like Lubu in the joint. So it's fire. They're doing so much stuff with it. Cannot wait. So I've been rocking the rocker, and then surprisingly, I fired up Halo Infinite, and I must say it's quite fun. It was quite fun. Yeah, new maps, new weapon. I like that little shroud cloud bubble thing that you can kind of use as a deterrent. You don't know who's going in. You don't know where they're going. Too big. They got a new arena map. Look, is it? Oh my God! You know what I'm saying? But it's the right step.
Yeah.
Campaign, what you call a little narrative beat from the Lone Wolves. They talk about what's going on with the infection, explain more. Very good cinematic. I like where they're going with that. I want more stories and stuff like that. Every content drop. They got 2 new cores now that you can add more stuff to. One looks like it's straight out of Dead Space, bro. One looks crazy. You got to see. I think it's called Chimera or something like that. The Chimera model. It looks crazy. Yeah, so you got to check it out. But nah, I must admit, Halo's still tight. It's still fun. Just keep it going. More content. This is a nice small to medium sized drop. Just keep it coming, and then hopefully get this stuff back.
Agreed. We'll speak more on Naraka later. Yes. I have some thoughts. As promised, I'm catching up on my COG backlog.
That's right.
My back COG, if you will.
Back COG. I like that.
All right, I got 2 other games I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to continue to shower praise on Octopath Traveler 2. I'm sorry, Xbox fans. I know it might be a little painful to hear about it, but
So,
we are talking about what I think is truly one of the best JRPGs in years. Like this thing is rock solid from top to bottom. Like they just keep going. It just more sprites, more animations, more locations to explore, more bosses, more hidden classes, more weapons, more skills. It's just more all across the board. Some are worried the game isn't selling as well compared to Octopath Traveler 1 out the gate.
really?
And yeah, it's seeming like some of the box sales are slow, but it's not accounting for anything on Steam, where Steam Spy you can only trust so much, but they're estimating 100,000 to 200,000 copies sold there. I don't know how true that is, but I think if it's even half of those numbers, Square should be pretty pleased, because this one does feel like more of an investment. I mean, they did a lot with Octopath Traveler 2, a lot. Like the cutscenes are cracked. The amount of production value put into this game, it's insane. Like I recommend it to anyone who likes JRPGs. Truly, the amount of effort that's put in here will surprise you big time. I mean, they went all out here. They did not spare any level of effort. The amount of maps and times of day that you can change and path actions. There's just so many ways to approach scenarios and situations and figure things out in and out of combat. I mean, it's just a very, very impressive game that often leaves me lost for words. I'm just like, wow, this is. Sometimes it's just hands-on with the controller, just play it, try it out. And that's why I wish it was on Game Pass. Just play. If you pick, I could think of like only a handful of characters whose opening stories I think are fine, but you won't want to start the game with. If like anyone's listening and they're thinking about picking it up, start with Oswald or start with Throne, like someone else did earlier in the show. Start with one of those two. I think you'll be hooked in pretty quickly. I mean, the game is really strong, really dark, gripping narrative. I just love how it all starts to intersect. I mean, hats off, man. Square Enix, for all their faults, did an amazing job with Octopath Traveler 2. They really handled it with care. It's not just cashing in on that art style that's selling them tons of copies. It's a true effort, a love letter to JRPGs.
Dope. Super dope.
Last thing I got to talk about, man.
Let's get it. I saw you doing this too. I saw you.
Dude, I was crusading in the LSM chat because I saw people like, yo, I'm going to pick it up. I was like, no, wait till DD, please. Please don't do it. So Private Division sent me a review code for Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition. It's a $10 upgrade if you already own the base game and the DLC. Virtuos did work on this, so we're not handing Obsidian the strict L here. Okay.
What's going on?
But
what's happening?
This is still their hands involved and they must be held accountable.
What's going on? What
this is
do?
Rough, at least on PC. Rough.
You don't care about the dudes. I'm just joking. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's their business.
Look, all I'm saying is that's the code they gave me.
Oh,
they had a choice on what's the best version. They could have just misled me. They gave me this one day before launch. I got to it just yesterday as we record, so Tuesday. I was like, oh, let me fire this up, see what's going on here, thinking it's going to be a safe ride. And this shit was skipping constantly. I'm thinking, what? I was like, no, like I'm playing on my home rig. I'm like, okay, let me go to my settings, bump it down to medium. Because I was on high. I'm thinking, okay, all right, like my home rig's getting a little old.
Yeah, a little performance.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see it just knocking it down. Oh, it got worse. I'm just like stuttering all over, thinking, what? Low. Let's do low. Again, I'm gonna humble my PC here. You were the big man in 2015. You were not the big man in 2023. Okay. Go to low. Still skipping. Like, something wrong with this thing, man? I start clicking and clacking on my keyboard, searching up those Steam reviews.
Yeah.
Mostly negative.
Oh, no.
Mostly negative. People were like refunded, awful, barely runs, and they're listing specs far greater than mine.
Okay, so it ain't no, video
far greater than mine. People with like 3080s.
3080s.
I can barely run this game. Really bad effort. And I'm going to honestly take a hot shot here, or have a hot take for y'all here.
Be careful.
Kind of looks worse too, in my opinion.
Shots.
The art direction in Outer Worlds is fantastic as always. So the backdrops, when you're running around
Color.
Edgewater and you look up and you see the big skybox with the other planets, beautiful in that regard. Still, but here's when I knew something was off.
Okay.
Now, morbid curiosity has led me to download my original copy of the Outer Worlds.
Let's go.
Because now I'm seeing, they're separate SKUs. So this is the Spacer's Choice Edition, completely separate from the Outer Worlds. Okay. Let's download this. Let's do a little 1-to-1 here. Like, I'm going all in now because I'm just so curious.
And the 1-to-1 being Obsidian's, baby.
But yes, continue. Obsidian, the one Obsidian worked on.
Yes, that's it.
And worked fine. Fine.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so we have a problem here with this remaster.
Yes.
And it was it was very disappointing because Outer Worlds is a game I love. I know you love it, but Outer Worlds is a game that I feel like people always define it as just a product of its moment. It's coming hot off the heels of Fallout 76 continuing to shoot itself in the foot. At the time of its release, Fallout First was announced, and it really propelled the Outer Worlds to a new level where people were like, go get this game. But I think even to this day, the Outer Worlds is fantastic. I love it. Do I have my gripes with some of its approach to role playing? Like, you can skill check pretty much everything in the early going. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's definitely leads you to believe you are role playing, I put in quotes for clearly balancing sake, but it is an amazing game. I think I love some of the characters in it. Like, you got Parvati, Vicar Max, like Parvati's incredible, man. Like, she just makes that whole game. But like, it's got Murder on Eridanos, one of the best expansions I've played in years. Like, Outer Worlds as a complete package is phenomenal. So to see a pretty easy rec that's like, hey, Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition, all the DLCs here, and it looks better, and you have an increased frame rate apparently, and you also have the DLC. It's packaged in, and it's everything you want for one price of $60. Yeah, if you've missed out on it, why not? Here's the other sus thing: it's not on Game Pass.
Yes, I peeped that.
Not on Game Pass, and I had a feeling because I thought, well, this is Private Division. Okay, I'm wondering now what's going to happen with the Outer Worlds 2. Because that's apparently being published by Xbox, but I'm just wondering, why wasn't this upgrade able to make it into Game Pass quite yet? Oh, you settling me down? What's going on?
Relax, I know where you're going.
No. I'm not assuming that something bad's gonna happen with the Outer Worlds too. I'm just saying, like, this is suspect to me.
All right, I have some background information. Now, here's the thing.
Settle the masses here.
Private Division was the publisher. They had that baby before. Outer Worlds Obsidian was working with them, but to get that out there. When we had them on, we had to go through Private Division, and that was even post acquisition. So this is what I get out of that. Private Division, that's it for Obsidian and working with them because they've been acquired by Microsoft. So the thing that they have the rights to, the vibe I'm getting is we gonna cash out because they done put this thing is well received, and they put out 2 DLCs that are also well received. This is our last. Let's call up Virtuoso. What's their move? Voodoo Studio. Who? Somebody can port this, and we can do that. That's the vibe I'm gonna go now. Well, with you, I can't completely absolve Obsidian all the way because someone, I'm assuming, has to check quality of this port. So I'll give you that. But we know Obsidian didn't do the port, so I just get the vibe. If I'm a guessing man, based on my relationship with Obsidian and having them on during the Private Division era, I had to go to Private Division, period. Like, they were like, we control you talking to them. And I was like, damn, even after the Microsoft acquisition? Because the rights contractually to Outer Worlds 1 is theirs. So my guess is them dudes is trying to cash out on Private Division, and thus maybe we got a subpar port, which is unfortunate because I thought it was going to be. I was shocked. I saw you on my Discord. I was like, oh, he playing. Okay. I was like, all right. So I'm assuming it's going to be lit. And I'm also curious, though, in defense of Private Division, who I'm clearly slandering because I am biased towards Obsidian. I admit it. I'm taking this personal. Like, damn, it was that bad. So,
I hope people know I'm not exaggerating. I don't exaggerate on the show, but like, I hope people know this is not me. I'll be the last person to want to slander the Outer Worlds because I think I'm one of the few defenders of it.
I am curious, and I'm going to speak to Addicts. I think he picked it up or somebody. I'm curious, in defense of Private Division, how is the console port, the Series X port, how does that run for what is a virtuoso? What's the name of the studio? I can't even name
Yeah,
the
I
name of
mean,
the people who made it, the port people who made this.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
it's just a questionable level of effort because, like I mentioned, it doesn't look better. It looks like they turned up the
Virtuose.
vibrancy a little bit in the
Yeah.
imagery, and that's very easy. And I believe this is an Unreal Engine game. If it is, that's a color correcting thing that takes you 5 seconds. So there
Yeah.
was minimal effort there. If it's what my personal eye tells me, which
Mhm.
I think I'd have enough experience to say so. And then the other thing is the eyes. The eyes have this weird reflection on them that almost you see like white in the center of them. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this doesn't look better, especially when I fired up the old one. They also, you see wrinkles in the face of characters. I
Mhm.
think the best thing I can say about the game's visuals is the lighting looks better. So
Mhm.
when you're talking to Reed Thompson in the beginning of the game, you go into Edgewater, you go up the elevator, you're talking to him.
Mhm.
You actually see like a shadow kind of cast across his face while part of his face is lit up based off the way the lights coming into the room.
Mhm.
He looks a little more wrinkled. I still think it looks weird because it's different, but
Mhm.
not in a bad way. But I can't say the character models look better. Just when you combine that with running like crap, that's not in Game Pass, which I think is an L.
Mhm.
You're trying to hide it. And this would be a little more forgivable if there was actually new content. But when y'all are just packaging this all together, putting it only digital, by the way, no
Mm.
physical,
Mm.
no new content whatsoever, because I think you'd have to get Obsidian involved in that. So I get it,
Yes.
but then it makes the efforts even more questionable, I believe. And
Mhm.
the reasoning behind it, Cog saying cash out, a little more
Mhm.
questionable. Um, it's a very disappointing product overall.
Yeah.
Very subpar, as you said earlier, is the perfect word. It's an easy thing. To me, it's not like this slam dunk. Oh, you're gonna make a ton of money off of this, but it's an easy win. Have it there for the person coming in late who wants the definitive experience that's better than the Game Pass version. And for people who are watching my content, when I tell people, "Hey, you never played the Outer Worlds? Oh, go get Spacer's Choice." Hell no, hell no. Go buy the original on sale or go get it
Yeah.
on Game Pass and download the DLC. You'll be better off. That's
Yeah.
it's a shame that they fucked this one up.
No, I'm shocked to hear it. I'm glad you brought this to the attention because it needed to come out. I didn't
Yeah.
even know about it. And the last thing I'll say, the reason why I was surprised by this announcement is because remember when it was on Game Pass, Obsidian themselves updated it once they dropped the Series X. Like they had a 60 frames mode. They added HDR. So to me, they already made improvements. So I was surprised to be like, okay, what more improvements need to happen?
Yeah.
So again, just my theory is my theory.
Very questionable. You're right.
Yeah, as far as private division.
Indeed. So with that, we have one write in, and then we'll talk about Starfield.
Yes, yes, yes.
Derico writes in, greetings to the arcane hipster and the most titan warlock. A new Sony argument to the CMA just dropped. Microsoft would intentionally make the PS5 version of Call of Duty more buggy. What? Has this ever been suggested as a thing a developer would do intentionally? This seems like an insane argument to me, but maybe Sony knows something we don't. Hope you have this seems more buggy than the console with the marketing deal, but I don't want to sound too tinfoily kind of day. I find this greatly interesting because I wonder on two fronts. I'm like, is PlayStation saying this because they're going, we've done that before? Kind of showing their own ass a little bit. Well, we've done that.
Bro,
What if they did that to us?
I hate to get into this type of talk, but it's
I
like
know. Yeah.
I think it. Why would you mention that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just as simple as that. Like,
I have one
why?
theory. I have one
Okay,
theory.
help me get off my. I don't want to put on a tinfoil. I really don't want to.
Yeah,
So
I
help
think we're
me,
going to
man.
anyway, but my theory is that PlayStation looks at that and says, well, that's kind of like an intangible. Like if there's one thing that's off that you can't replicate in the Xbox version, we could just exploit that, right? We could exploit that. And therefore, they're giving us the buggier product. So placing this seed here, I think is key for them long term. That is just my guess. But
Look,
again, that's already tinfoily. But
yeah.
I'm curious where your tinfoil hat comes in.
Listen, I generally stay clear of this talk, but it's interesting now that we have to talk about it in a public forum. The fact that, Sony is saying they are concerned that if they were to get Call of Duty, that they would make the PlayStation 1 more buggy. They are concerned, with the inferior product and stuff like that. And I'm just, again, I have to question this type of talk when they have had the marketing rights and have been in control of it. So listen, we just gotta call it like why are you talking this talk unless you've contributed to these type of practices? Let's just call, I'm not even trying to fanboy. Like, why is this? These are just nonsensical arguments. This just to me, just you don't want to do the deal, right? And that's fine. I get it. You don't want to do block to the sun cows come home. I get it. But when you engage in this talk, and this was the last point I'll say, it's going to be very interesting. The key thing is Xbox just won with the FTC judge the ability to look at exclusivity contracts from back to 2019. And I hope I don't see a lot of, like, this is King David talking. I usually don't get into that, but he is a firm believer that they play parody games. He's like, Cog, I'm telling you, like, besides the marketing, there's intrinsic things he's convinced. So the truth is going to come out either way, whether it's hocus pocus, it's not. But I am curious about this comment. I'll be honest. This rose my eyebrow slightly for a person that does not engage in the tinfoil-y stuff.
Yeah, I would imagine this shouldn't be so wholeheartedly entertained, but it's interesting that they are saying this to the CMA, who they've kind of puppeted around a little bit. And because of that, I feel like it could get a little bit further than we are initially thinking, because I don't think it sounds feasible. But I think now when this gets taken to court and we start to see those documents that are going to show some dirty laundry for both companies, by the way,
correct.
That's where we're really going to get clarity on things like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a thing that actually happens?
I will say, besides any parody stuff, I would like to know how that Final Fantasy VII remake contract works.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that's loving that part of this.
That should be in the window.
Oh, that's part of the time frame. So the thing about these things, these reveals, is this how what we learned during the Epic case. Mm-hmm. Remember, Sony did not want to play ball with crossplay with Fortnite. Remember in the beginning?
Yep.
They were not. Then the court documents came out. Judge ruled to rule whatever. And next thing you know, you found out that, Sony demands payment for inclusion, the privilege of playing with us. And we found out that they got broken up. Salute to them for getting the bag. But I was like, oh, really? I didn't know this. So, yeah, this is where we're going to learn a lot. And stay tuned. The saga continues. The drama continues.
Indeed. Thank you for writing in, Derek. Let's get into the news, Cog.
He's been
number one. An easy number one. After months of uncertainty, Bethesda Game Studios has finally spoken out about when we can expect to see Starfield next, and even when it's releasing. In a new trailer, Bethesda confirms that Starfield will be releasing September 6th, 2023, with a dedicated Starfield developer direct happening on June 11th this year. Studio head Todd Howard spoke in the trailer, thanking fans for their patience, and said that there is still so much we don't know about the game yet, despite it having the hallmarks of a Bethesda Game Studios game, that it's still a very unique video game. So let's start things off with Sekron. Hey, Dukes. No time to come up with a fancy title because Bethesda just dropped a release date for Starfield and it ain't in the first half of the year. I know people are going to riot in the streets over Microsoft's 1 year thingamajig, but can't we just finally be happy that they said it? The first half is stacked enough as it is for Xbox, so I'm glad to wait till September and I can take my time with my ever-increasing backlog. What do you guys think? Thanks for all you do. Have a good day. Thank you, Sekron. We appreciate you. Cog. Have it. We were expecting the developer direct announcement. We didn't know that a release date would come alongside it. So September 6th, a loaded statement, if you will, because with it comes expectations that must be hit. King must be displeased that promises were not kept.
Diss track already went out public. He already put a diss track out on Twitter already. He already gave us preview bars. Yeah, he put it out. Yeah, he's not happy.
Okay. But on top of that, we've been kind of, we've been pushing for this, saying we're okay, we're team delay. So let's hear it, man. How do you feel about September 6th being the day for Starfield?
Look, there's two lines of thought here. And on one side, I get it. Bro, keep your word. You're breaking promises. You're not, you said you were going to deliver on the 11/11. It didn't happen. You said, 12 months. It didn't happen. What you see here at this showcase will be in the next 12 months, you show Starfield or whatever there, and now Starfield's out of that 12 months. So I get it. And that part to me is still self-inflicted. I'm not giving it a pass. I'm not doing that. It is self-inflicted though. And that is, you have to market, but that's why COG has been on the record. I never, ever like that whole mantra for marketing of these are the things you're going to see for 12 months, because you better commit. Otherwise, you're going to get smoked when you don't hit. Now, the realist side of COG, the I care about this game COG, loves this. And the reason why I love it is because guess what, Maddie? Guess what the Dukes have been preaching about a certain storied franchise that people were anticipating at the launch of the Series X. A certain franchise that we all said should have been delayed because that franchise is now suffering and trying to play the catch-up game now. Halo Infinite, right? To me, they knew they were going to get smoked by saying September 6th on any. Once you get out of June, you're getting smoked. They know it. Not justifying it. But to me, I applaud the decision, the health of this game, and this game being one of the pillars, the most highly anticipated Xbox exclusive in sometimes you could make the argument ever. Like, it is that critical since Halo for Starfield to be good. You cannot drop the ball on this title. You cannot, for the sake of the gangster list, put it out and say, oh, well, we made the date. Never mind the bugs and how extremely broken it is. We made the date. You have to preserve that game. And to me, that showed they did learn a lesson from Halo Infinite. Old Xbox energy is like, well, we got to come out now because we said it. We got to. Bro, this is too important. This is God Howard, right? Give him the time he needs. And the last thing I'll say is, we know as Bethesda fans of the Skyrim, the Oblivion, we know the complexities of these systems. No one is saying now that because of September 6th, that means absolutely flawless. No. But at the same time, we know it's going to be a better experience than it would have been in June. You know what I'm saying? Or a better experience than it would have been in November. The quality of the game matters. That's all that matters. Because guess what? All this, and people like, yo, this one's a liar and all that. No one's going to care if this joint is a 90-something Metacritic. What you gonna see, gamers? Popping ball. Yo, we got a banger, bro. Game of the year, bro. That's what you're gonna see. So all of this, they eat that. I get it. Deservedly so. They didn't hit the target that they self-inflict, but I get it. They're free to get that smoke. I'm not saying they not. But the health of the game, if you care about this game, and you care, if you love it, you want it to be great, you want it to be the best it can be. Todd, take your time. You could have told me 2024. It is what it is. You're going to have to take the L at some point. But if this game is great, gamers going to forget. That's where I'm at with it. Surprised. I think not too surprised. I'm kind of in a laughing mode with this because I'm going to tell y'all last part. I know I'm
going. Go for it. Take your time.
Don't let this game be great. Y'all going to see messy COG. Don't let this game, if this game is 90 anything, I'm coming for all the dudes talking about it should have came out. Because I'm going to tell you know what? Take your copy back. Don't return your copy because you don't support this. Take it back. These are my preview bars for King. Take it back. Because it should have came out. So you know what? You discussed it. You don't want to play this no more. They didn't do their word. And let us enjoy the great game that came out 3 months later.
I love it.
I'm done being messy. That's messy COG. Y'all get a little messy COG.
I love it.
Continue.
Yeah, I mean, well said. So, with September 6th, it's funny how what it shows is that really no one was truly in the know on when this game was coming. I'd say I may have been one of the closest, and I don't say that to stroke my ego because I'm not building my career off of leaks and rumors, but I did say that there was a slight delay coming. I then did retract that and say when everyone else was starting to say June, that same source followed up and was like, hey, good thing you said slight possible delay because it's coming in June. So as we've learned now, outside of Andy Robinson, who knew about the showcase announcement coming and didn't know, it seems, about the release date, no one really knew. No one knew. And I think the audience should be most aware of that, because a lot of people create their alliances, form their army, decide who's a fraud, who's not. And I wouldn't say I was fraudulent, because again, I was pretty right from the start. And then I pulled out, because when I started hearing different things, I said, here's the last thing I heard. I'm out. I said, I'm not doing this shit because I can already smell trouble. And I'm glad I did. Because if I stuck to my guns, I was like, June. Oh, wow, would I be eating crow right now? So I'm glad I pulled out. And I think the audience needs to know that, because we do talk a lot about rumors, speculation, and that stuff. And pretty much everyone was wrong in some way, shape, or form. Even if I was formally right, I ended up being somewhat wrong. And I think that's the reality people need to start stomaching. That this game, and as I've said historically, Bethesda is very difficult to nail down with leaks. They are locked up tight. Now, when it comes to the delay, thumbs up for me. This has been the energy I've had for a while. I want this game to bring back the Bethesda of yore. You know, this is, if they were to drop this game in a hasteful manner, we'll say, it would show that they have learned nothing from the absolute catastrophe that was Fallout 76.
Whew.
Fallout 76 was the greatest lesson this company shouldn't have had to learn, but clearly needed, because they got confident, they got the ego, and they started walking around, as someone who covered them for over a decade, since 2011, like their shit didn't stink. They dropped a true stinker, and they learned fast that allegiance only goes so far. And that was a stain on them as a company that's put out 4 Game of the Year winners in a row. That's a stain. They had to recover here. This is a bounce back for them, and they're taking it seriously. And that delay should tell you everything. I don't think it should put lack of faith. I think it should put faith that they're actually not fucking around for once. I think that's what it should tell you, that since Oblivion, which was the game that defined the 360 in its early part of the life cycle, this is their first delay since that. You can account for DLC and whatnot. Bethesda's delayed DLC, but they scarcely delay major games. To me, this shows they looked at Cyberpunk. They looked at their own catastrophe and said, no more of that. Not us, at least. And when you got Xbox in your back pocket, this is the energy fans should carry, in my opinion. They got the cash. Let them take their time. And this is the product of being in a good ecosystem now. When Game Pass is delivering great day one games, even if it wasn't my cup of tea, you got Atomic Heart. You've got Wolong. We know Minecraft Legends is coming up. We know Redfall is coming up. This is what happens when Xbox is actually releasing shit. They don't have to do what they've done before. Get it out. Hit that date. We've got to have it. They had to learn to be more fluid and just let games come when they do. And the schedule figures itself out. And now we're seeing a pretty full year. Is it a full 2022 style year? Yes. And I will say, the one thing I'm concerned about with during our fantasy draft, I did say I think Starfield will get delayed, is that putting it in September makes me wonder if Xbox has anything else coming this year. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because I want Starfield before I really plunge into that. And we'll probably know come the summer showcase. But Cog, I got to be honest, man, it's looking like me and Rand are about to have that kind of year of 2023 being a delayed 2022. And if these games deliver, it's going to be great. But that's still, to me, I'm holding my energy. That's still a fucking L in my book. That is still going to be an L if your holiday game was last year's holiday game. But come on. So I'm a little nervous about that. But the release date, the delay, I'm all about the quality of the product, not about the brand ego, if you will. And I'm happy that they're focusing on this being great, because that's when Bethesda's at their best. That's when we get Skyrim, Fallout 3, Oblivion, Morrowind. That's when we get Fallout 4. That's when we get these types of games, when they're cooking quietly, or in this case, kind of loud. And they come out and they're like, see you in 6 months. We're out now. I love that. What I want to know from you.
Yes.
Developer Direct in June.
Interesting.
Probably right next to their summer showcase, the day before. I would think what's going to happen is E3's the 13th to the 16th. Xbox usually goes the day before. So I'm thinking we're getting June 11th Developer Direct, June 12th Xbox Showcase, and then E3 week. I find this interesting that Starfield has so much to show that they're going to do probably one big Fallout 4 conference type blowout and peace out. It's going to be a drought after that. I'm just going to prepare people in advance. How do you feel about this approach? We were thinking March for this direct.
Yeah.
Thinking March if they're going to hit that June release date. Now we learned September with a June developer direct. So it puts us 3 months away.
Yeah, this is interesting because so much for the Super Bowl and so much for March, right? So we got that
cinematic trailer.
Yeah, look, dudes is hoping. I get it. You know what I'm saying? And we are here now. So the cool thing is, let's be realistic though. If it was this month, with everything that we already talked about with Redfall right now, going into this promotional, we know about the event and all this other stuff, right? So it's like that would have overshadowed that. I think it really would have crushed Redfall, in my opinion. So that's the first thing. But to the date, E3 is good. Xbox's showcase is going to be June 11th. They always historically go on a Sunday. They'll have their conference. Now, the key was at first, I was like, they're going to do it on the same day. My thought before I read the announcement was, I hope I don't see it in the show, so to speak. So the fact that it's separate, I love that, right? Because my thing is, now this is where I agree with you and Rand, where it's like, I don't want to see another blowout trailer of it at this E3 again. I want to see the new and what's going on and future plans and, besides that. So what I think what potentially could happen is they do the showcase, right? According to Phil, or what he said, GoldenEye levels of prizes. And they sound like they ready to blast off. That's what it sounds like, right? So if you do that, you have this meaty show and it's packed. And then, okay, at the end, guys, we got so much for Starfield. Here's your direct after. Lead you into the joint. That could be a powerful combo. It could be. It could be. So we'll see. And to your last point, it will be interesting. If we formulating timelines, right? September now is the date. We got to find out Forza's proximity.
Yeah.
And
imagine Forza's like the November game.
That would throw my whole plan.
You gotta be honest. That would sting a little bit.
That would sting a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We got to throw that in there. We got to throw what happens with Call of Duty situation, right? Binge right now, if I had to gauge on a feels like it's leading their way a little bit, maybe with the EU, maybe, right? We'll see. I mean, we did hear rumblings of Hellblade talking about stuff. Is it
I guess a September game, man? What's going on?
My only question now is, now that we're seemed locked with this date with with Starfield in September, can you put anything proximity when you know Forza is there? Can you do Starfield, Forza, Hellblade? Can you do that? Or do they say, you know what? Maybe Call of Duty's in that November spot. We don't want to play with that. We don't want to disrespect Hellblade, put it in December. And we hold Hellblade if it's ready, that first, that topper, and then you hit them with the Hellblade Avowed 2024 energy.
Starfield should be enough to carry them through the year. That's the thing. Starfield should be enough to just cap off the year, say, see ya. 2023 was great, wasn't it? But I can also say this is the company that had Forza Horizon sprinting out of the gate, and they just dropped a Halo multiplayer beta that cut it off by the knees. Like, it just did. And obviously it ended up fine, but Halo certainly did not, because it needed more time in the oven. So that period of time will be extremely telling for what they have learned with that interaction there, and how damaging it was or wasn't. I'm so curious about how they're going to handle that. But Cog, we did see some new gameplay in this trailer.
Yes.
We did see some new gameplay. I'm curious. I was doing my deep dive analysis on it. I was breaking down the trailer, all the snippets. I got to say, you could see I think, and Bethesda didn't do themselves favors here, putting the bulk of the gameplay over the shoulder of Todd Howard across the room. They knew what fans were going to do, and we did it. But man, I think it would have helped them out if they just showed it up close and personal. The reason I say that is the animations look way more cleaned up compared to what we saw. First person shooting, jetpack, sprinting. I was like, okay, we're seeing the benefit of the delay. This looks way cleaner. So that was one of my first takeaways. But for you, I'm curious if anything stood out to you.
Yeah, that was the big surprise for me because it starts up. First of all, who's on the music team? Let's give them a raise right now.
Einan Zur.
What's his name? What's the homie? What's his name?
Composer for Fallout.
That's Fallout? Yeah. Oh no, it makes perfect. This thing feels like the most iconic, oh my God moment. It's just the music sounds glorious. Something is happening. The special. I hear it, and all my calms go, life is good. Yes. I'm like, what is that? It's beautiful. So I'm watching the joint. Have to admit, I felt the cinematics looked very nice.
Yes.
The little backdrops, the skyboxes, the little mysteries of space. They going around. I'm like, oh, that look good. That look okay. Then, as we get to, here come, the God, how it comes out. I can't even care if he has a leather jacket or not because I'm not even looking at it. I'm looking right behind him. And I see, you know what I see, Maddie? I see somebody that look like they moving at 60 frames per second. I'm not a digital foundry kind of guy who can just make discernible decisions on the eye. But it do look kind of fast. It didn't look plotting because remember when we first saw it, it felt a little slow and 30 energy jump. And I get the jetpack part because you're in space and that replicates that. But when you want to, I saw almost like a speed run a lot of third person energy on certain things too.
Is this your just one? The just one you never knew?
We're not going to go there, but it looked like the option to play in that mode is being promoted on some level. So we got that. It looked decent. And then I saw a skybox that gave me Outer Worlds energy where he was like in a lush location, very vibrant. I don't know if it was jungle. I'm gonna watch the Mr. Batty Plays video. I can't wait for your break. I know you're gonna do the frame by frame. I already know. Can't wait for your video because I'm just can't wait. So look, I looked at it and I said, this looks way better than what you showed last time. And again, that's what I care about. I want this game to be great. And it got me excited, man. The number one thing was the variance in a little bit of the biomes. Saw a little gunplay, saw the speed. The 60 frames thing feels like there may be a shot here.
Yeah, it definitely was making a believer out of me. They rendered it in 60 FPS this time. Maybe they just forgot last time. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like that, listen, if you say comes out September, all right, guys, here's the performance mode, here's the belt. Bro, that's what it's about, the best product. That's why I said don't pay gamers. When I spoke to Todd, I literally told, don't pay gamers no mind. Take your time. Don't listen to King David. Take your time. This is too important. And you give us I'm telling you, man, I hate that. I know I'm getting a little fanboy right now. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Do not let this game be a 90-something Metacritic anything. I am going to be hard to deal with. I might be on Twitter. Look, if you already said anything slick to me, I might respond to you that day. I might pull up your old tweet. Don't let this game be good. I might get super petty. And I hate to get fanboy. It's just that, again, I care about games. I'm not playing lists. If the game is good and hopefully the potential of this continues in this way and we get more updates and we get our classic Bethesda factions and systems, man, I'm going to live in this world. So I'm excited. I really am. And salute to the team. Hopefully they pull this thing off and we'll see. But I was very impressed. I was really happy. But enough about me. Let's get the expert. Let's get the Duke of Bethesda. Let's break it down. And you can explain way better than me with the review. No. So I need to hear.
So let's see here. There was a lot of new stuff in this trailer that I was very pleased to discover. One that was really nice that I think fans who are playing in third person alike is there's the ability to hide your helmet in breathable areas, it says. So if you're running around in third person and you're in a place with oxygen, your helmet will actually be off, which I thought was really cool because it's that attention to detail where each planet has clearly their own set of characteristics that you have to be aware of. And so it was really nice to see when you're in a place that humans can live in, that the helmet comes off. Because I love playing Bethesda games in third person. I have this kind of pace where I go and explore in third person. When I go into a dungeon, I go in first. It just always seems to work out the best for me. I don't know why. It's become a habit of mine over the years. But that to me was one of those things I love to see. They had a ton of different helmets that you could pick from, which is cool. They actually showed off 3 and they all looked totally different, which was also exciting because I was reading the names. They said the shock drop trooper, the space pilot helmet, the space explorer helmet. I was thinking, oh, okay, like they got all different kinds. That was something I was worried about when you're moving into the new IP. You don't got those old assets that you can really borrow from, say, the previous Fallout game. How different will my character look? And it looks like we got many options. And its menus were laid out like Oblivion. And again, y'all got to listen to Maddie. I've been saying for how long now? Oblivion. How many times have I brought up Oblivion during this game?
Yeah, I've said it.
So many times. Please go study Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Everything about this game, spiritually, delay-wise, internally, mechanically, has Oblivion vibes. That is a fucking amazing sign for this game. Does that mean it's going to be a 10 out of 10? I'm not saying it is. But I think this game's going to be the Oblivion that Bethesda needs to kick off a renaissance, if you will, their comeback. I really do believe that. But again, down to the UI, the conversations, Oblivion. So yeah, there we see it again.
They even had your man from Oblivion that was in. He was in this the division that from the original Oblivion that was on this.
Right.
Todd mentioned that during the thing. Continue.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. Thank you. So yeah, that was another thing that stood out to me. I saw one of the enemies was at the level of 75, so it looks like we're getting up there with the cap, which is really good. Ton of story details, by the way. Ton of story details. I don't want to go too hard on them just because I know the Defining Duke audience may not want it ruined for them in any way, shape, or form. Like, there's no spoilers, but I'll just say if you look at the gameplay reveal in last year, which I did, and I broke down the story stuff, and the reveal trailer the year before that, and you broke down the story stuff, and then you look at this here, Cog, I'm going to be honest, Bethesda's doing a really good job, I feel, keeping the secrets close while revealing interesting stuff. I think I'll just say what we saw in the opening part of the game where you're going into this star station and then you see the planet, you see this weird structure. My theory is that is the beginning of the game. That's my running theory right now. This is where you start the game. Like you go through that space station, you get your objective, you go down to the planet, you find this weird monolith like place. You go inside there.
That place looks so cool.
Yes.
Bro, that was very Oblivion, Skyrim-y energy.
Yeah. I think those
space. Yeah.
They're right now, what I've read is based off like documents I was sifting through in screenshots is those are called coded chambers. And so the idea I personally believe is those are going to be like the dragon walls from Skyrim, when you go up to them and you find a new shout. Because what I'm seeing is after each one the characters interacted with inside the trailers, you see that orange explosion like a vision. And everyone in the trailers are like, you saw a vision. You're the one who found that artifact. You found it. I'm like, okay. I'm starting to put the pieces together a little bit here. And again, that's the least spoilery version I can give you, which is I think these coded chambers are the dragon walls, and you're gonna find them and they're gonna get you to that whatever Constellation's looking for, because their goal is to quote find what's out there, end quote. That's what they're trying to do. So I feel what we saw there in the beginning was just the start of the game. And I'm super excited about that because it was mysterious. That there was that creature you saw at the end with the razor mouth that was circular. That's called a maggot maw. That's the level 75 creature I was talking about. And I was thinking, they could have some horror vibes with creature design like that. Because there was this one shot in the gameplay reveal. I was tabbing back through that when I was making my video. And I saw, and I was like, the spaceship was dimly lit. The lights were flickering. And this thing was just crawling through the hallway. And I was thinking, okay, we can have a diverse experience here. Imagine boarding an abandoned space station. And you just see the lights are off. People are dead. What's going on here? if anyone's read the book Star Wars Death Troopers, that's what I'm thinking of with that type of stuff. Death Troopers is a zombie take on Star Wars with Han Solo and Chewbacca. It's not canon, but it's really interesting. I think it's a fun book. And I always think of that when I think of these kind of derelict stations with almost the flood on them from Halo. That's what I think of. And so there's a lot of cool nuggets in this thing, though, man. A lot of them. You saw gameplay on Mars. They were running around in that screen behind Todd Howard's shoulder. It said "Discovered Mars Mech Factory." I was like, okay.
He was running very fast around that bio, bro.
He was
speed running.
There were human companions. That was they were smart. See, they're sneaky, man. That's what I love about Bethesda. They're sneaky. So the guy, Todd starts talking. The guy just rotates the camera, looks at the companion, then goes back to what he's doing. I'm like, you put that there. Like, people are going to zoom in and see a guy jogging in the background. It's like, and that's why I was like, that's right. There we go. That's my man. Whoever that is, that's my man. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Revolvers are in the game. People were really asking for that. Revolvers are here. I think that's about what covers it on the top level. It's just, it was surprisingly a jam-packed trailer. A lot to go over. I'd say the main surprise for me, though, was that developer direct release date. That to me was the biggest surprise. I thought we'd get that sooner, especially now knowing that Starfield is coming out in September. I thought, we'll get something a bit further away to just kind of do traditional trailer marketing, like maybe do a developer direct next month and then a trailer at the showcase. That's what I was expecting when I saw September 6th, but then they say, no, we're doing the full direct on the 11th. I don't know if they're going to do Into the Starfield or Constellation questions leading into that. I would hope so. I think 3 months and nothing makes no sense. I'm just very keen to learn how Xbox and Bethesda are going to market this, because now that was concern number 2 for me. Beyond the product was, I think Halo been on the downslide. That's your IP. This is your opportunity with all the hype, the zeitgeist. Tie the Bethesda brand to Xbox well and truly, right? And what better game than really their biggest game in a hot minute, probably since Fallout 4. And I feel like you need time to draw that connection, right? Where people think Bethesda and Xbox, because not to sound fanboyish, just that's what Xbox wants. They bought Bethesda not so you can go over to your PlayStation and be like, oh, they're still supporting. Like, no, they bought them to bring their shit over. So this will give them time to do so. But now that they've put this big gap between now and the next big reveal, I'm curious if anything at all happens leading into that. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. I think that they recognize the stakes, right? But I also think they're in a weird scenario, or a rare scenario, where they have a lot of things coming out. And I think that, I think it's a situation where it's like, I still look at Redfall, I still look at Minecraft Dungeon, I still look at that top half. And I think maybe the thought process is that, look, we cannot let Starfield. This is what I'm going to be honest with you. There's a part of me that feels they think they got something. And if you think you have something, you don't necessarily want it to cannibalize and overshadow other things that you also want to have light. So maybe their thought process is, which I do like, is give it its own separate thing, even though it wasn't thrilled about June 11th. I had to wait for that long for it, but now it makes sense because obviously the release date is September. But at first I was like, how do I feel about it on the same day as the E3 conference, so to speak?
Yeah.
As long as it is separate, I am okay. I don't want it part of that core. So I'm warming up to this. At first I was a little, I don't know. Yeah. Is this the right way to do it? Maybe you should have still dropped it in March. But then I'm like, all right, Redfall's here. Minecraft. Yeah, it would have cannibalized you in those games. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the call. Maybe this is the play. And we'll see. We'll see. But I'm curious for you. Do you think we get any? You think from now that we've announced it, now that they've announced it, that it becomes a situation where radio silence until June 11th? Or do you think or you think basically what they call it, Into the Starfield, whatever these little vignette things.
Starfield, there's constellation questions.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that ramp up marketing ramp up now from June 11th on, then between June and September that's when we're going to start getting that as we get closer. You think that's the way of go?
The thing is with the production quality, and I imagine the scale of developer direct, it's hard to say for certain. I would think so because it's kind of the safe thing you can do without siphoning. Because I think the mistake that's easy to make is we're looking at this from Starfield and Bethesda Game Studios perspective when we should really just look at it from Bethesda's perspective, right? So you just launched Hi-Fi Rush. You're probably going to launch Ghostwire Tokyo in the next, if the year contract is a thing, in the next couple weeks, you'd have to think. Redfall now in May.
Yeah,
you want to spread that out, right?
Yes.
And so you want to have Redfall have its moment. Not that you neglect Starfield's marketing until after that, but you don't want to overshadow one with the other. Hi-Fi kind of you didn't have to worry about because it was this surprise moment. It had January, nothing was happening. There was distance between everything. Things like Elder Scrolls Online, you have to worry less about. It's kind of got to build community, so you don't have to think too much on that. But I think Bethesda is probably looking at it from, what can we do to quietly talk about Starfield as we lead into Redfall? So they smartly drop something ahead of the Redfall previews. So Starfield has its moment while press is playing, content creators are playing the game, seeing what it's all about. I don't know when the embargo for that lifts, but probably in a couple of weeks or so. And so then Redfall now overtakes, right? Now Redfall is the talk. Redfall gets its previews. Let's say it's the end of this month. Now you're only a short couple of weeks away from launch, right? We're talking early May. And a short couple of weeks away from launch. So now you want to build up the hype for Redfall. Like you want to have Arcane have a win. So I think you lean into that more, but you can drop a Constellations questions. I don't think you drop a trailer, though. I don't think you drop like a Fallout Shelter mobile game. I don't think we get any of that. I think you lean into Constellation questions and just let that suffice because fans are hungry. I don't think they let us starve for 3 months. Maybe they do. I don't think they do, but I think Bethesda is trying to spread out their portfolio because when you look at it, you're talking about a beautiful year. Excluding the port, Hi-Fi Rush at the start, almost at the middle, you got Redfall, and towards the end, you got Starfield. Beautiful. Yep. And it again shows what is Xbox doing without Bethesda. It's incredible to think about, but they're providing. And so I shouldn't take full credit for the thought because someone did write to me on Twitter saying it doesn't make sense that people were expecting them to launch 4 games in the first half of 2023. And it's true. Why would Bethesda do that to themselves? Of course, they have to consider Xbox, but Xbox is also well taken care of. Minecraft Legends, let's say Forza's coming in the middle of the summer, which I hope. I hope it's not our November game.
You're like, please get it. I know people are going to be happy if that Forza release date is not in the second half.
Yes.
People will be happy about that.
So yeah, that's my thought process is I think we'll get a little something, but I think if so far my reads on this company have been pretty fucking accurate with Starfield. So I'm going to go and trust my gut and say we're probably not getting any major trailers. We're going to see them at the developer direct where we're going to have a huge blowout. I think following that, it'll be complete silence for the most part. And I think between then and now, Constellation questions, and the big news being like, here are Starfield's system requirements, that type of shit. But I think it's going to be quiet because Bethesda has other games to lean into, and Starfield could, sadly, for some games, easily overtake them at hype. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's a zeitgeist type game, so completely agree, for sure.
Now, one of the questions we got, Cog, is if you have any other thoughts on Starfield, we can move on.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. Because one of the other questions we got is really what's after Starfield. And indeed, we have a story for that. So Andy Robinson, I think, again, his reporting is worth running with because most recently he was the one who is 100% accurate on Starfield, says on the VGC podcast that Hellblade 2 and Avowed are the nearest games following Starfield. Now we know where Starfield is, so keep that in mind. He states that Fable is still miles away as it has only recently entered full production, and both Perfect Dark as well as Everwild are still not close. SFish616 writes in, hey, Dukes, recently during last week's VGC podcast, the cast talked about several Xbox topics. The part about Avowed and Hellblade 2 being the next big first-party games after Starfield, I think this doesn't surprise anyone. But the part I find interesting is that they think if the ABK deal is completed, they think that the Activision marketing team could take over marketing in a few years for Xbox. Of course, this is all hypothetical, but I think this could actually be a good idea. Xbox has a marketing problem We have seen this with Redfall having a trailer at the same time as that Ages live stream, or how they announced Pentiment's release date in a damn blog post when they could have had a trailer at the opening night live. I will give credit where it's due. Developer Direct was a massive step in the right direction, but they still need to improve. I still find it incredibly concerning the lack of Starfield marketing. Obviously, this was written before that, by the way, so don't give S-Fish too much crap. But maybe getting help from the masters of the COD marketing machine might help. Have a John Bernthal is back in Daredevil kind of day, Steven. Yes, sir. John Bernthal. So, COD, two-part thing here, right? We have what Andy said on the VGC podcast. We also have the marketing angle, whichever one you'd like to tackle first.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's been kind of reputable right now. Obviously with knocking this one out the park with Starfield, seems about right. Nothing seems way out of pocket. It does seem like Hellblade and Avowed are next up as far as the sequence and stuff. The key is going to be, to me, everything is about placement right now. It's about who's ready. And this is the beauty of when you have first party titles, kind of ready to go. So, yeah, I think I could see a scenario where Hellblade somehow gets to the second half of the year. I could see a scenario where Hellblade, is top of 2024. And then, we have a Hellblade and potentially Avowed, year, maybe Avowed at the end of the year, 2024. I could see scenarios like that. As far as his question about Activision, I don't know about that one. I mean, because look, Activision knows how to market. There's no question. I just think if the deal goes through, they're going to operate kind of Bethesda-like on some level as an independent. They're just too big, man. You just can't come in there and push Micah Barr around and push Rod Ferguson around and be like, all right, y'all, this is the new day. Now, I will say culturally, they will get pushed around. That's where it will be different from Bethesda. Bethesda didn't have any of these major, for the most part, by this composer here and there. But, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, you didn't hear the type of things that we heard at Activision Blizzard King. So I assume, Robert gets his parachute, that there will be a lot of sensitivity and retraining going on behind the scenes and, all that other stuff, union stuff. We'll see. But I think when it comes to Call of Duty marketing, that's gonna listen. The casuals run this thing, y'all. That's my last point. The casuals run this thing. We can hardcore it up for these games that we love, but at the end of the day, that damn Call of Duty is still dominating MPDs. Dominating is the most popular game sold, and all Xbox really got to do, like I told him before, slap that joint on a box and. Call it and say that the marketing is ours, and obviously you could still play it on whatever, but if you play it on PlayStation, but you can still get it here on Game Pass. That's all they care about. Game Pass is so they can see that number skyrocket when people realize day one, I can just play it right now. That's the ultimate marketing. And here's the thing. Once that happens, that sets off the chain reaction. Oh, I'm in here because I got Call of Duty. What's Avowed? What's Hellblade? Yo! What's Starfield? This it's all part of this thing that I came here as a casual for Call of Duty for. Yeah. That's where the circle of love starts. And that's what Xbox wants. That's all they care about. So that is the marketing. They're going to use Call of Duty. Now, last point, I do agree. They got to improve. Shout out to my man. Oh, man, I forget him. Good gentleman. He always listens to us. And he's out there. He's telling me, he's like, internationally, they're not doing a good job at Game Pass. He's from Iceland. He said, Game Pass just came to Iceland. I talked about it on Dukes. He said, I can't find any advertisement. People got to change their region. This is bad. Like, wow. Xbox has to, you cannot be launching in new regions and you ain't got no promo. You ain't got got bad Xbox. You got to do better. So you got to work on that. So that, yes, we're always going to be on them for improving.
Absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to the Hellblade 2 and Avowed, I agree with Steven here in the sense that I think most of us were expecting those to be the next two, just based off all we've heard. You look at their timelines again. I always go back to the fact that Hellblade 2 was revealed with the Series console. Like that, again, I thought that should have been first, but here we are now, and it's coming later. It's fine because again, I think Ninja Theory are perfectionists, so I want them to take their time as well. But see, here's the thing with Starfield. This is all going to keep circling back to it. With that September release date, I think it just moves everything in the pipeline back. As we see things come out later, the entire Xbox pipeline gets shoved back. Now, I'm not going to wipe off the potential of, I'm still a believer in Hellblade 2 2023.
Fantasy implication.
Yes. My fantasy draft deems it so. But I also personally think this could come out this year. And we learned based off last week's Duke, entered full production 2021. So they've had a couple of years. It's up in the air. I think as easily as you could see it late this year, I think we're at least getting a date this year, and then possibly comes out early next year. With Avowed, it's really interesting because I think you want to keep Avowed and Starfield apart, right? I think that should be, I know we've had a lot of assumptions on, you can't put Forza and Halo next to each other. Oh, they're different audiences though, or how they release Minecraft, Forza, and Redfall, and Starfield, how we had all our different theories for that. I know we've had a lot, but personally, I feel keeping Starfield and Avowed separate is something all of us can agree on. Not because we don't have time to play it, but just these are two similar style games, ambitious AAA open world RPGs. And look, if you play New Vegas or Outer Worlds, you get that same feel as a Bethesda game. Just Obsidian and Bethesda are two peas in a pod. That's why they've made games together and stuff. That's why they're family now. That's why Xbox sought them out. Makes sense. Because you have two similar types of games, you want to space it out, right? So that when people are done with Starfield, they've seen it all. Maybe come June next year, they roll around. They're like, oh, the next open world joint is here, and it's going to be a good time. That would be my personal prediction. Keep those two spread apart. So I think Avowed naturally falls into 2024. I just think it's a little bit later into 2024 to keep that separation from Starfield.
Yeah.
And I think Hellblade 2 would come up next. That would, again, just based off, you showed up with the console. It's your own fault that I'm expecting this. So I think you got to pull up as soon as humanly possible in my book.
I definitely hear you. Yeah, man. It sound reasoning. I ain't got too much to disagree with anything there.
Now, with Steven's question on the Activision marketing, I don't know, man. I don't know. It feels icky, doesn't it? It feels a little icky, doesn't it? Because the Call of Duty marketing cycle works because it's like a well-oiled machine, right? You always know when the multiplayer preview event's happening, the beta is happening, the campaign reveal. Although they've kind of bucked the trend and started doing it when they want. They've started to shake some of the familiarity of the past. And so some fans get a little bit antsy. I think they could take some tips and tricks from them, but I think, it's, for example, it's marketing 101. I believe that, as Steven wrote, you don't release Pentament's release date the same day as your other first party studios having a live stream.
Preach.
I don't think Activision has to teach Xbox that. I think they were already taught that. Like, hey, don't have two beats in the same day that are major. Spread them out.
Facts.
Make your brand more attractive as a whole.
Yes.
Keep the illusion that things are always happening. Spread the wealth. No one's going to freak out and die over 1 day delay of like, what? I got to do my age stream a day later? Or I got to announce a Pentiment release date a day later? No, we need it here. I don't think so. I think that's the call that they need to make. And I don't know if Activision could teach them that. Redfall, we definitely get a lot of trailers for Redfall. I think Redfall's, I don't want to say struggling with mass appeal, but something about it's not catching on, at least in the YouTube sense. I think once we get closer, we'll get a better idea. But when you look at some of the YouTube viewership numbers, I remember Redfall dropped a new trailer and it was like 30, 50,000 views on the Bethesda channel. Oh, wow. My viewership should not be competing with Bethesda's AAA marketing. It should not be doing that. So to me, that's a disappointing sign. And something we need to monitor because hype obviously peaks as we're about a month or so away from launch. And obviously the week of is the biggest point where all the conversations happen. So it's less about the pre-launch, but it's still worth monitoring. And again, I think all of these are simple things that another company does not need to teach Xbox at all. So that's where I stand on it.
No, that's fair.
All right. Got a little bit of an update here on the Microsoft Activision deal for number 3. According to Reuters, Microsoft's Activision deal is likely to be approved by EU regulators following their respective agreements with Nintendo and Nvidia, reportedly easing concerns about fair competition. So for those who had not caught up on the news, Nintendo and Xbox had reached an agreement to bring Call of Duty to the platform following the acquisition, and NVIDIA is going to get the cloud library from Xbox following the acquisition. So they're all in support of the deal. It's now apparently eased the EU regulators' concerns. Cog, any thoughts on this one?
I think it's the first time in a while that they've gotten some positive news from insiders before they think something's going to happen. So,
True.
Just leads me to believe maybe they are turning the corner internally with the EU specifically. There's still the UK. There's still the other part, last part of the deal. But I will say this: if they win this, I think that gives them tremendous momentum, tremendous momentum going into the other phases, which is the UK. So we'll see. The saga continues, man. I still, on my square that it just, makes sense as, they are not the market leader. I've said this 1,000 times, and but I respect PlayStation's ability to change. This is a big money, resource. This is huge for them, with their model. And then we found out that, they utilize this model to fund their first party games.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to see the urgency and the seriousness of the fight, because to get, your Last of Us's, your God of War's, Call of Duty from them is important. And you're really just having it on your platform. You're controlling that revenue. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how, if they don't win, how they shift. And, if they do win, how the relationship happens with, Call of Duty. So we'll see. Hopefully we are getting to the end of this, because I think all of us are sick of it.
Yeah.
Ready.
Hopefully this year, right? Hopefully this year. Please. Yeah, much like you, it's one of those things where not a ton to say, but definitely worth going over. I'm sure Xbox might be a little pleased that their big play may pay off, at least in the face of the EU regulators. Of course, I always say that based off our conversations with Hogue, the definitive word is the FTC. So while it's great to see the EU's, okay, cool, maybe the CMA is going to ease up, okay, cool, what's the FTC saying? Because they're the ones who have moved to block the deal. So how do they feel about these concessions? And obviously we'll learn when they sit down and have their chat over the summer. But for me personally, I'm glad to see it's paying off, because, for example, GeForce Now is going to be really competitive. I already thought it was a solid service. I always picked Xbox just because their servers, their responsiveness was better. But to see GeForce clean it up, good.
Yeah.
Love it.
Huge. I think that was one of the more criminally underrated. You literally gave one of your competitors in the market who have a great product. I use GeForce Now before. It is a fantastic product. You gave them access to your library. That is alleviating the regulators in a nascent space. We are not trying to be dominant. We are ready to capitulate. And I think they would make even other concessions if Sony is concerned about, after 10 years, that they would do some parity thing. I think I've heard rumblings about like an independent observer to kind of hang around Xbox and be like, all right, the deal's up, you're still going to do, look, Microsoft is at this point, they're willing to play ball, but they ain't willing to give up quote. That's really it.
All right, let's move on to number 4. Our last bit of news here, and then we'll talk about our Game Pass pick of the week. Speaking of which, coming soon to Xbox Game Pass, we have March 7th, Guilty Gear Strive for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PC, and Xbox Cloud Gaming. Then March 9th, coming to Xbox Cloud Gaming, is Dead Space 2 and 3. Where's that one, though? There's that one, though.
Yeah, where's that?
It's fine. I'll allow it now. I've learned my lesson. March 14th, Valheim comes to Game Pass for Xbox Series X and S, as well as Xbox One. March 16th, my arch rival, Sid Meier's Civilization 6, the Life Stealer, as I like to call it, coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PC, and Xbox Cloud Gaming. March 21st, Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, the Princess Edition. This is the version with all the DLC. Comes to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. And then leaving on March 15th, F1 2020 leaves console and EA Play. I think that might be a typo there. I'm not going to say it's leaving EA Play, just because I don't know why it would. Yeah. They own that shit. It's not going to leave their own servers. So F1 2020 is leaving at least console Game Pass. Goat Simulator is leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. Kentucky Route Zero is leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. Guardians of the Galaxy, It's already saying goodbye. It's leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. Get in on that while you can.
Yes.
Paradise Killer leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. Undertale leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. Young Souls leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. And Zero Escape, the Nonary games. Oh, man. It's leaving cloud, console, and PC Game Pass. All of those are exiting March 15th. If you heard something you like, get to it. March 15th is the date it expires. And you got to pay for it now. Because Xbox, apparently you guys don't pay for your games. So it's just beware.
We doing that now.
Just beware. We don't want to do that type of stuff.
Games, you guys
don't want to support the devs.
Support the devs.
We have a write in here from DDT Joestar. Because I feel like Cog, you'll have a lot to say on this one. Hey, fellas, good day to you. Mr. Matty, Lord Cog, Xbox Game Pass just added Guilty Gear Strive to the library. And as a day one player on PlayStation, I absolutely intend to smurf in the shadows and hit the other newcomers where it hurts. That said, are either of you gentlemen looking to give this a shot? I can confirm it's definitely the more welcoming title in the Guilty Gear franchise for casual fighting fans. And I hope we hear some tales of you two duking it out. Got to flex my dad joke muscle here. Have a don't pursue Lubu kind of day.
Facts.
So yeah, Cog, this is a big one. Guilty Gear Strive. I played it when it released on PC, and the game's excellent. I mean, it's from Arc System, the team who I was just talking about with Dragon Ball Fighters earlier in the show.
Yeah.
They made this one. Beautiful game. I feel like you'd really like it. If you've not played it, if you've not checked it out.
Never played a Guilty Gear. Never played one.
I'd say I'm not a huge Guilty Gear aficionado, but I will say part of the reason I bounced off of it is because it was a little stiff, a little too complex, in my opinion. I know some will disagree. Okay. I know how fighting game fans get, but from my experience, I was not really feeling the flow and the rhythm. Where this one I did. This one, when you pick up, you get those combos. They got a good set of auto combos, but a good way to mix them all together where you can feel like you're getting good a little quicker. So is there anything here on this list that you're interested in checking out? And of course, does Guilty Gear Strive speak to you, good sir?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give it a shot. I've heard good things about it. One of my writers, shout out to Lord Ty from LordsGaming.net. He goes hard with his Guilty Gear articles. Always check him out and see what's going on there. Heard you obviously raved about Arc Systems. So I want to try. I want to see how the meta is. And I did hear something that I do like, which is if you jump in the mix, you see like your man who tried to catch us, from play, what's his DDT, Joe Star, he tried to catch us, right? But what I heard is that guys like that have to stay in some tier or something, and they can't, like, they basically, me as a young new buck to the game, if I go online fighting, whatever, I'm in this tier that I can only play people with my level, so I don't have to worry about them.
He's smurfing. He's coming over as a brand new player, so he'll beat up on some new guys for sure.
Yeah, respect. Like I said, you want to come over there and you want to shack the situation, okay, fine. But, you know what I'm saying? For me, overall, I think that's cool that they have a system in place like that. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to be curious if it is going to be a fighting game for me because I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. At least a good primer until your Tekken arrives, till Mortal Kombat arrives. It's going to be a good year for fighting games, man.
Oh, yeah, baby. I'm ready. FGC, we lit. We back.
Alex Roberts also writes in, hi, Doki Doki Literature Club. It's so funny, actually. I literally use that for Doki Doki Literature Club, but I replace literature. Alex, if you don't like the game too, call it Shiterature Club. Doki Doki Shiterature Club. Right? Because that game, man, I'm like, why do y'all like this so much, man? Like, I was like, why do you all like this so much? I think it's so boring.
Pissing off the game.
It's so boring. Anyway, Alex Roberts writes
I'm going to go off for it.
Yeah, I'm coming for it. Another month means more games are entering and leaving the revolving door of Game Pass. Recently, it feels like there's been a trend of more games leaving the service each month than arriving, but I'm okay with this as the pound-for-pound quality of the titles being added is arguably at an all-time high. My question for both of you is, what do you think could be added to the service in the coming months leading to their summer event? Pardon me. Do you think any recent big releases could be added? Or maybe even a surprise third-party drop on release that we didn't know about? There are also quite a few titles from their last summer showcase that are supposedly coming out by the end of June that we don't have dates for, such as Arc 2, Cocoon, and Hollow Knight Silksong. Curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks, you guys run the best Xbox podcast out there. Thank you, Alex. So, Cog, we're seeing, I like what Alex touched on here because I kind of wanted to get into that too. The additions are a little bit slim, and we've seen that be consistent. A lot of folks were up in arms as they, for example, when Persona arrived, it was just Persona 3, 4. And I think it was one other game. Folks are like, yo, what is this, man? Where are the games at?
Yeah.
But I said then, I was thinking, dude, the quality's there, right? The quality's there. I think Hi-Fi Rush was the game that released alongside it. I said, that's what we want. Game Pass was at one point in the early days, y'all are quick to forget, pouring out that Dark Alliance. Oh man, like that kind of game, just you can't allow it.
Energy.
People love Game Pass, right? The consumer base does. Developers do too, believe it or not. So Xbox is in a nice position where they can redirect the garbage if they so desire. But Cog, what do you think about, before we get into the rest of Alex's questions, the slimmer offering, if you will? I think it's good for catching up too. Like we're not being overwhelmed anymore.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily feel it's that slim. I just feel like we got to be honest. They'll announce like 5 or 6 titles, and gamers, we know how we are. We're selfish inherently. So we be like, all I care about is that, right? You're like, yeah, that's the one for me. But think about, for every time you do that, there's somebody else that's like, yo, this one's for me. And I think that's what the energy is. But I agree that I agree with you wholeheartedly that the quality of Game Pass, the third-party releases especially, has gone up significantly. And now you can arguably say like they're on a run. You know what I'm saying? They're on a run now where it's like, okay, you roll along, Atomic Heart, you got this, you got, like you're starting to see, Ghost Rider coming, High on Life, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's starting to get that nice cadence. And I think what's going to happen naturally, like you said, they're going to be more selective. And like a Netflix, it's going to be stuff that you get that's high quality, that you'll be able to get that 1-year deal with, that 2-year deal, because again, it's a negotiation with Microsoft and the developer, right? So let's say it's higher quality. Maybe the length of contract isn't as long as it used to be based on, remember, the developer got to get their bag, because actually that's what's helping the developers. They're getting their bag. That's, you know what I mean? So, I think that's what's going on. I think to his second question, my hope is definitely a couple of other AAA third-party surprises that maybe we didn't see. Like, oh, y'all getting this on Game Pass day one. That'd be nice. What I would like to see also is what I call the setup Game Pass deal, which is, for example, like, when we had the Yakuzas, here come the Yakuzas, in preparation before, you know what I'm saying? Like a dragon, hey, maybe Tekken 8 gets announced, and yo, you want to play Tekken right now? 7's in, we did like, you know what I'm saying? Get the anticipation from a previous title or the series that no one's played, get that going, and then keep the momentum of great games that really look quality. And maybe that's the 1-year deal. Slap that bad boy in Game Pass. And I think they'll be fine. They're going to get to that point as you keep getting bigger and bigger. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep paying everybody all this crazy. Like it's going to be a balance, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the balance in the force, so to speak. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, really well said. I think if I were to pick out one game that Alex mentioned here as kind of the surprise between now and the summer, I'm going to say Hollow Knight. I was actually just while you were talking, looking up some of the trailer performance. This game has for an indie game, an astonishing amount of hype behind it. The reveal trailer 4 years ago on Nintendo's page, 6 million views. Xbox, whose YouTube channel, quite frankly, I think performs like shit most of the time, 1.6 million views on the Game Pass reveal trailer. People are excited for this one. So I think if you can get this out before the summer showcase, that would be a much bigger GoldenEye kind of moment, where a lot of the internet's like, oh my God. And it's like next month. Because the thing is, this has been in development for a while, and indies thrive off the pop, right? Maybe with Starfield, you can take your time. You can take those 6 months. With indies, you don't want to be like, all right, here it is. See you in 8 months. Easy to forget, at least in my opinion. Yeah. I love indies, but I'm just saying, I think for the average consumer, you want to catch them while they're hyped for your stuff, and they'll jam you in there. That would at least be my technique personally as a developer, just throwing it out there. But that's how I would want to approach it. But I just find that to be a good candidate for what Xbox could surprise us with. Otherwise, I think I like how they're approaching Game Pass this year. I really do. I like that I'm seeing only 3 games being added because it's a service with hundreds of games. Eventually, if you're trying to keep that volume up, you're going to have to sacrifice and put garbage in there because you're going to run out of good options, right? You're going to run out of those deals that like developers aren't ready to make for the things that people want to see. So low and slow, slow and steady. That type of mentality for Game Pass when we're already bathing in games is great. And I want the focus to be more on the day one. I'd rather you instead take the funds that are just throwing shit into Game Pass and instead pony up for the upcoming game that's going to be their day one. Like that to me matters more. I get hyped when I see, like when Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Hitman Trilogy came in the same week to Game Pass. That was amazing. I was like, you're set for months if you really indulge in both of those. But otherwise, I just want to see them really invest in those day ones. I think that would be the best for everyone involved. So if that's what they do,
I'm with you.
They stagger that out, I think we'll be just fine. We can deal with the massive exits and the slow additions as long as the quality's there.
Agree. I think you're on fire with the day one talk because that's what truly adds the optics, the value of the optics. Because it's like, okay, it's coming out. It's a day one release. It's like, well, long. It was a no brainer. Where am I going to play that at? You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at the other versions, like, it doesn't matter what's going on because you're like, hey, I'm getting it, quote unquote, for free. Again, the mentality. And I think if they keep making the right choices, and I think they've been better. Like I said, Liza P. I think I like the mindset behind the choices that they've been picking for day one. And just keep that energy with the day one releases. That'll be a big help. I completely agree.
Yeah, because I'm looking at upcoming games right now. I actually would have said Baldur's Gate 3. I actually would have, because that has co-op. Ooh. And if they were doing the console release for that, if they could have figured that out, that to me would have been a pretty easy pick. I know it's kind of a cheap one to say because now we know the situation with the tech side of things for that game, but that to me would have been a pretty easy one. I'm just scrolling through other upcoming games here. What else do we have? I mean, there were a ton of games that were announced, some open world games that were announced. Yeah, there's a lot of good options for them. Eden Chronicles doesn't have a release date. That's Game Pass. So we have to wait out some games that we already know about as well. So that's part of the problem. Flintlock Siege of Dawn. That was the one I was thinking of, the open world game. That game looks awesome. So
that looks cool. A lot of potential. I like what I'm seeing there. Definitely like what I'm seeing. Yeah, man, they got some choice they could kind of put their name, attach it to, and try to like ride out this year. There's a ton of stuff.
When do you think Midnight Suns? Do you think actually better question? Let's like go. A dragon, the man who erased his name. Do we think Ichiban is going to stroll his way into Game Pass day one, the Sega relationship? I feel like they're due for the big title, right? Like we've seen them gradually bring the back catalog in. Yes. We've seen the partnerships in the safer realm. They did some RTS game day one and a couple others like Football Manager. But I think in the terms of the public eye, do you think that they might do something along those lines? Like that would be a pretty big announcement at the summer showcase.
Oh, that would be huge. I mean, look, the relationship is buttered up enough that it wouldn't surprise me if it happened, right? The energy I get from Sega, I'm going to be real honest though, I get EA energy. Not in a bad way, but in a, you know how EA be like, okay, we mess with Game Pass, but our day one release, you go had to buy this first. And then once we finish out on the back end, here's Mass Effect Legendary Collection for you. Here's Dead Space. After we got the zeitgeist. And look, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a part of me, I'm going to be honest, there's a part of me that's why I kind of cool off or rush it out on EA games day one, outside of obviously the Dead Space and then the Jedi. I'm not missing Jedi. I'm going to that. We're not waiting. I'm dismembering.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I'm doing. So I think that's the Sega energy I see. I don't see them being like, yo, Sonic day one.
You know Sonic, no. I think I do think though. Okay, I know we're like 3 months ahead of schedule right now. Who gives a shit?
Let's go.
I think that they'll do a Yakuza game day one because I think Yakuza's popularization is because the game series is great. Of course. Minus one. But
we was in real good pockets today. We're not going to put this negative energy out here, but continue.
I think though that Game Pass brought that shit on the map to the masses. I truly do. I think when you look at series that were supporting Game Pass heavily and that were really getting a return on investment, and we saw, the launch of Xbox, one of the Series X exclusives was that next gen update, Cog. So why not buy the whole cow this time, right? So I'm thinking I could see a Yakuza game making its way day one to Game Pass. I feel like if you're gonna pony up for something, because I look at something like Wolong, to me that's not your average. It's a Team Ninja game, and I get the framework of it makes sense, but Atomic Heart even. But I feel like Sega might see some value in getting the marketing appeal from their next big Yakuza game that, by the way, needed Kiryu to come back because Ichiban cannot carry the series.
I see what we're doing. Look, I will say this. Where you have a strong argument is that they have been on record saying they love the relationship. They talk about Yakuza in such a glowing way now, and it was just like this second shot in the arm that they didn't see coming, and they're like, yo, we love it. So maybe they're at the point of comfortability, but Xbox gonna have to they know they got. Now, that question is, does Xbox, remember, it takes two to tango. Does Xbox feel the price that they're going to ask is worth it? That's the other part. Because I think that now that Yakuza is now that Ichiban, my man, is a household name that everybody loves and is the favorite. It is the greatest Yakuza that's going, that they switched to turn-based. And it's a resurgence because of my character. Fix your face, man. Go on. I know your slant is coming. But now it's the opportunity to be like, remember this guy you love that we popularized because of Game Pass? Boom, here's his new adventure with Maddie's guy.
Twist the knife on me. They'll be like, he's back. You were right, Matt.
Look, who's the
I'm not advocating
you get your man, I get
by
my
the
man.
way, Xbox. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it.
I love this slant.
This man does not need to be more popular. It's funny, though. It's come back to bite me in the ass. One of the top comments on my Atomic Heart review, which people were displeased by, was that I didn't like a Dragon and I enjoyed Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Therefore, it's hard to take my opinion seriously. I was like, God damn it, bro.
Damn, they vilifying opinions.
Yeah, I was like, son of a bitch.
I will say, though, side tangent, every 5 to 6 Mr. Maddie Play reviews, I feel we get that one strong, contrarian.
Are you saying I'm biased, Cog?
No, not you. But I will say this is what me and you share that I love about you, is that you go against the flow energy when you ready. Like, you don't necessarily capitulate just because everybody else is like, yo, it's fire. Sometimes you be like, nah, I'm just not feeling it. And it may be something popular, and you'll give something like no one's not giving like a Danganronpa a chance, and they're like, no, Ace Attorney. Like, you have your pockets where you feel like, nah, that might be a little overrated, that people like, and this thing is really the champion that you guys should be behind. And I think that's dope. You're the balance of the force sometimes. We need that.
I mean, I try the benefit I have a clear conscience because I don't know anyone's opinion going into my review. So I always tell people Deathloop scarred me because I went in, I was like, yo, this shit's about to be trashed. Like, I was like, this is going to be torn the fuck up. And I see 10s, I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, God. Like, I'm going to get destroyed every time, bro. Because I know how people work. They're like, you, the one with the outstanding opinion. No, I'm not ready to hear that right now. And then I slowly see the retroactive opinions going, maybe I was a little generous. I was like, oh, okay. And I know it's going to happen with Atomic Heart. Right away, I saw people walking back. That protagonist is kind of annoying, Maddie. I'm like, It's okay. I don't care because I'm like, go ahead. You find out for yourself. That's what Game Pass is for. So I tell y'all, go play for yourself.
You bared the cross for us. Thank you for your service.
All right, time for our Game Pass pick of the week. Something we can agree on here. All right, Cog. As I said, I'm catching up on my back, Cog. I gotta be careful when I say that because that can turn into a CK real fast.
That can turn it can be a scandal.
Game Pass pick of the week is Naraka Blade Point. So My man, you have been championing a lot of different games. And last year I was up to my ears in reviews and getting my structure, my schedule right with working on a game. This year is the year of balanced Maddie. So I'm finding time to explore. March is a very open month for me. My Wolong review is done. Next big game is Resident Evil 4 Remake. I don't know if I'll actually get a code for that. So right now, I'm doing my catch up, right? I'm doing my COG homework, seeing what's going on. So I've been in Destiny 2, as I've already talked about. Now I was thinking of the other games you've been talking about, right? It's this game and it's Midnight Suns, which I want to do next. But you've been really talking up Naraka Blade Point, this very different battle royale, martial arts, a lot of sword combat, different weapon types, very technical, great tutorial. I was like, let's see what it's all about. I obviously trust your opinions. I was like, I'm curious how good it is. I'm impressed, man. I actually, I'm not a battle royale guy, but this one I enjoyed quite a bit. I played about 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours in that range last night. And, I think some of the menus, I've realized I've become really hard on menus and UI. And the menus in this are tough, but especially like the way everything's laid out. It reminds me of a mobile game, but it's not a mobile game. That's what's weird.
Yes.
But once you get through that, the tutorials are great. I knew I was in over my head when I was struggling with the tutorial. I'm like, okay, like how do I grapple? Okay, wall run, then I got to charge the attack. It does take a lot to sink in, and COG is 100% right. Do those tutorials. Do not skip them and jump into the match because you just want to play. These tutorials, it's a lot, and you won't truly understand. I felt I didn't until I'm playing online, but having an idea is what you need, and it's not long. It took me about 30 to 40 minutes to go through all of these missions and stuff. It's kind of laid out like a campaign, which I really like. The production value is great. The cutscenes are great. They're kind of building a universe with every season. It's awesome. And so I went on COG. I got to say, I impressed myself. First match, your man got 8 kills. Now, what I like about this game, I'm not going to gas myself up too much.
I know what you're going to say. I
recognize some bots running around. But I needed that.
You need the bots.
You need the bots.
You need the bots. I'm sorry.
Because dude, so I was a part of the last team alive, right? Like it was me and one other team. I was like, I'm getting deep in this. I must be pretty good at this. I went head to head with a squad of people who knew what they were doing. It was epic. We're deflecting swords. We're charging our attacks, trying to time out our counters, feinting people. I'm like,
who's your character? Who you like?
I used
if you know how they look,
Viper.
What they do,
girl with the
Viper. Yeah. Oh,
I love her. Okay,
use
Viper.
Okay.
Her. I know she's the one on the cover and everything.
Yes. And she got the open her hand. She slow everybody down. Powers. Her super move.
Her look. There's something I did it in Wolong. I made my character blindfolded. I used the makeup for those who don't know, the one that looks like tears are running down your face because I just love.
I love that one.
I love that.
I might have blew my whole check on merch for her.
Oh no!
I might have spent some money really decking her suit out with monetization. You got to see these suits. Have you seen them suits?
I tried to resist going into the storefront.
Resist. Stay away from anything that says treasures, and you will fund the entire Naraka team with 24 Entertainment.
Yeah,
Continue.
Look, NetEase isn't that bad, right? Like it's Tencent that's awful. I think that distinction is important to make for both of us because we've made episodes discussing things about gaming in China, and I know I'm not anti-China gaming because they have great games coming out of there, and Xbox has a bunch that they're bringing to the platform. Just so people know, this is not a Tencent game; it's a NetEase game. Not that they're perfect, but very, 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 very different.
Very different.
It's them, NetEase, and MiHoYo are the Chinese bigwigs that I respect because they've definitely stood in opposition to Tencent, specifically MiHoYo. I think Tencent.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the people who make Genshin Impact, for those who don't know, were approached by Tencent to be purchased, and they're like, no, like that.
Wow,
that's an easy check. It's an easy check.
I did not know that.
So that is why it's like there are companies from that region I definitely respect. And Naraka is I didn't have doubts going in, but I was very, very pleased by what was there. Because the combat's solid, character designs are awesome. I kind of I don't know why I was surprised by this. I think it just shows how out of multiplayer gaming I've been. When I saw the hero roster kind of lit up a little bit, I'm like, who is this? Who are these characters? so many I wanted to play with and experiment with. The loot game is there, like it would be in any battle royale, but I still had fun with it because it's a whole different world when you're picking up submachine guns and assault rifles and you see a golden pair of nunchucks. You're like, hot damn, this is awesome. I had like a big great sword. I had a glaive one time. I was like, wow, it's just changing the entire makeup of Battle Royale actually does something for the genre. Who would have thought? So what I'll say is Naraka is definitely worth a try because if you're like me, you feel like you've had your fill of Battle Royale, right? You've taken your taste, you played your Apex, you played your War Zones or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I've seen all there is to offer. You've not played Naraka yet. Naraka is great. It's great. It's great. The cooperative element is cool too, like teaming up with friends and doing 2-on-1s, or when I was in a 1-on-2, I mean, it's tough, but like doing it, the game almost encourages me to just be great. I was like, man, if I do this, it's going to look sick. It's just a very responsive game. So I've enjoyed it quite a bit. My home internet's been dog doo-doo though. So unfortunately, I've been kind of bouncing out of matches. So I'm trying to I'm going to try to put more hours in this week, but we'll see how the internet wants to behave, I suppose. We just put a new extender in, so we'll see.
Well, that's what's up. Yeah, hit me up if you ever want to do Naraka. I'll definitely play that with you. It's so
that
much fun.
I'm hitting you up for that Destiny raid, or your clan's got to pull me in. Someone's got to help me out.
Whole clan. I'll hit up Ebonzes also. We'll give you the premium experience. I hit my boys Ducky up.
Yeah, I know it's a time skip, but I want to get the premium walkthrough. Just see what it's all about.
See what you need to experience. What a raid is, what it feels. Absolutely. Just want to expound on that because you got the feels going. I've been playing this week. So the thing real quick I want to say is you're absolutely right. Anybody listening, Maddie did it right. You go to training, then go to advanced training. Then go to bot mode. I would say because bot mode gets your confidence up. So you get kills. You're like, okay, this is how it feels to kill someone in the thing. Also, verticality is your friend. Use the grapple hook. Stay on top of trees. Sometimes let people beef and then come in and hi-ya them after.
Yeah, I was running around the ground. I was playing amateur level stuff for sure.
It's a process. I learned the same way too. And then the other thing I would say is the key way it really starts to separate is, remember, the fighting game sensibilities. Every character has their own moveset, their own super moves, their own special abilities. Learn what they do in the actual character information screen. The other thing, and menus are terrible. I mean, it's like a PC port through and through that's trying to be a console menu. That's a terrible UI. The UI's terrible. But besides that, the key is when you kill someone and you're looting the body, look at the jades. The jades will set you apart. Give you more health. Make a specific weapon have a special ability. And then the beauty of Naraka, last thing I say, is when you learn how to parry someone. And this is where the game gets spectacular.
I'm playing too much now. I'm way too quick on it.
Yo, bro, too quick to yeah. I had to map it to another button. I changed because one thing, you can map the buttons to everything you want. I mapped to a specific button, and what I did is once I think about this bumper, you could have setups, parry, and disarm someone with their swordless.
Oh, like, really?
Yeah, now, where you at? Like, if you get crazy with the counters, bro, it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, man, it's so much depth to it. And they usually have there's a campaign mode. And look at the top. Look at the top. It says whenever you see the mode showdown. Now, the entire roster is not available for Showdown. There's a certain amount of characters that are only available right now. Try Showdown, 3-player, cooperative, narrative, and story mode.
Oh, really?
Campaign. And they keep
saying that, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's called, whatever you see in the right bump at the top middle of the screen, it says Showdown. That's the campaign. Give that a shot. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I haven't even tried the new joint. So again, if you want to hit me up, let me know. I'll rock out with you. And then, just the Jades and stuff like that. The game has so much complexity, depth. And there's one mode that you've missed. It's called Morris Isle. It's like a fun little seasonal mode. So basically, they put you in a circle, and these mallets are going across the board. It's fun, chaotic, and hilarious. And everyone's trying to rush. Well, they put all the Jades and the hot weapons in the center of the ring. Everybody rushes in, and they try to get it. And these damn mallets are coming while you're fighting it. It is chaos and pure fun. Morris Isle. Whenever you see that mode, it's the seasonal event. try that mode. I guarantee you have a ball bust out laughing.
I love that. Yeah, it's a great game. I really, really appreciate you putting it on my radar. I remember when it was first revealed, I thought it looked cool. Then I heard Battle Royale. I cooled off of it. And then you tried it out and you really praised it. And yeah, praise is worthwhile. It's great. So please do check it out, Naraka Blade Point. It's available on Game Pass. I think it's free to play otherwise, but I'm not 100%.
No, I Game Pass, I love it so much. I actually bought the ultimate. Ooh. That's how I was like, I got to support this thing all the way. Let me type in Naraka Blade. I want the suits. No, I don't think it's not Sony yet. I'm going to be honest.
Not bad.
I think they're making a mistake. But now I need to get their player count because sometimes you will wait for some matches, certain matches.
I waited about 2 minutes for a match.
Yeah, so I think maybe the game, maybe Microsoft blocked.
Oh no, that contract's gonna come up quick.
I think some because it is weird that it's not all. I'm like, why is PlayStation guys don't have this yet? This is truly an Xbox PC exclusive.
Yeah, it is
right now.
Wow.
Yeah, the community is predominantly on PC, but yeah, man, I hope that because I really want this game to thrive. So I don't mind what PlayStation getting on it. They need to experience this greatness.
It's $20 on Steam. So that's good for Game Pass. Then yeah, Game Pass pick of the week. I thought it was free to play otherwise. It says Naraka Blade Point, $20, Deluxe Edition, $34, and then Ultimate, which I think you bought, $50.
Yeah, I bought Ultimate, Extra Cheese Edition, Big Whopper Edition. I had to have them suits, man.
Sir, I'm sure you did.
They got to do that. Bro, they got to do that's a samurai that looks straight up like Jin Kazama. They literally got the Jin Kazama with the bruh. I mean, not the Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. Oh. They got a character look just like him. He's an ill samurai. Got to try that character. There's characters, man. The Shaolin monk that turned into that spiritual. Bro, they got some characters.
Absolutely. So that's what's going on with the Naraka Blade Point. We move on down to our concluding questions here. We'll start off with Zip Davis, who writes, "Hello, Q1 Dukes. Since it's now March, I was wondering what your game of the year is so far. Is it possible to do this every quarter and re-review your picks? A lot can happen in a few months as this year is pretty stacked. Thanks for making my week every week, Maddie. I always look forward to your reviews and GameStop Retro Rebound videos. COG, I love ILP and the positivity you spread." Thank you, Zip. We do appreciate that quite a lot.
Oh, I remember him on Twitter. Salute to Zip. Yes, I do remember that name.
COG, your game of the year is?
Oof. Gone to my head. Shy, 808, come to the front of the congregation. Still.
We're not putting Mid-Sun there. Sorry, Midnight Sun.
Because technically, if you allow me to cheat,
you should. I am an advocate for cheating. It came out in December.
Oh, okay.
You didn't have a gun then.
Oh, Midnight Sun all day. Oh, come on. All day. Like, I'm still playing. Like, I'm playing Destiny still thinking about Midnight Sun. So I know I still love it. I still want things to do. That's what I know. So, yeah. Midnight Suns. Oh, my God. I love that thing. I want to get the rest of the achievement. So, yeah. Midnight Suns. And by the technicality of the law, if they don't allow, then Hi-Fi Rush would definitely be. What about you? I think I know you.
I don't know. I go back and forth right now.
Really? Not the space?
There's a certain pixel art game that's come out that may take over. Really? I don't know, man. It's tough. It's really tough because Dead Space is such a perfect video game in so many ways. And they really thread the needle there. Here's how I'm rationalizing my decision. Dead Space Remake still has this one section in the hydroponics, which is kind of long-winded, slow. I wouldn't say boring because I don't think Dead Space at all is boring, but it's the slow part of the game. It's the one part that stumbles. Octopath has yet to stumble, and I'm like 40 hours in. So I'm just sitting there thinking, well, one's been consistent for 40 hours. The other has kind of a blip on the radar, about midway through. Otherwise, it's phenomenal. It's one of those things I'm having where it's that indecisiveness like last year. Last year, I'm just like, man, is it Plague Tales at Elden Ring? Is it Plague Tales at Elden Ring? I didn't think I'd have this conundrum so far, but like you mentioned, gun to your head, I do think I'm going Octopath Traveler 2. I really do.
I can hear it.
I just, everything it's doing to me is a true sequel. I think nowadays we get the, well, it's not broken, don't fix it excuse. And Octopath does have that in its gameplay, but as I broke down earlier, it's just more and more and more across the board. I just love that game. Truly love it. Even I know I love it because my only critique of it really is that you'll have to grind to get the later game stories unlocked. I'm like, I don't care. I want to spend more time with this. I don't care at all. Like that's a respect earned that I do not give that out easy. I hate grinding. It's funny. I love RPGs. I love JRPGs, but I love that JRPGs have evolved beyond grinding and have found wise ways to circumnavigate that. The fact that I can stomach this game's grinding and just keep going and just love every second of it, that's about the strongest indicator I can tell because it's going against my taste.
Yes. Yo, you're right. You're absolutely right. And shout out to my boy Lord Flame for long that he goes hard for Octo 2. He's talking about it like you. And I know Attic is feeling because he's like, man, I want to play. He loved one. He's just pissed that he's in his feelings mode kind of thing. I'm like, bro, you got to play it because I've been hearing good things about your game, bro. You got to go ahead and get it over there.
Attic, if you're listening, get it as soon as possible. You will love it, my friend.
Yeah.
But that would be my game of the year right now.
No doubt. Fair enough.
We'll see what happens in September, though.
In September, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Things could change in September.
Yes, they could. I mean, all I know is that my game of the year list is going to be stacked, bro. Like, no one's going to have a bad list this year. It's impossible to have a whack list in the year of 2023. So many
games are coming. So many good games coming.
All right, Eric McCarty's up next. Greetings, Cog and Maddie. Not an Xbox-specific question, but I value both of your insights. Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Salute.
With Resident Evil 4 remake about to come out, do you think Capcom can or will continue with remakes going forward? If yes, what could they do next? Could they do 5, Code Veronica? Maybe even give some remake love to the original. Wanted to know what you guys think on the matter. I find this to be, by the way, Eric, and anyone listening, could write in with whatever questions you want. Within reason, right? But they don't always have to be strictly Xbox. Like if they're more general gaming questions, we'll pick you still. It's not like, it's not talking about Game Pass. What the hell is this? In fact, fun fact here, if you're writing in asking me a million times like, hey, Matt, what game should I download on Game Pass? I'm like, bro, we got a whole segment for it. Write something else in, damn it. Come on now.
Agreed. Listen to the show.
Cog. A little Resident Evil love here, right? You remember we were talking about Mikami. You said, I remember when the first game came out. Would you love to see that remade? Or like, do you think they should just keep going forward? Because they've done 2, 3, now 4.
Yeah. I mean, one, I'm not going to be opposed. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be opposed to reimagining it. I think the one that I want personally, I mean, it's a weird one. I want Veronica.
A lot of people love that. I haven't played it.
Veronica was a weird one because I believe it was a Dreamcast exclusive when it first came out.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people didn't even know about it. They were like, yo, Claire story, like it could use a touch up. It could use a reimagining. I think it's underrated. With a lot of things they did well with Veronica, but I know it's not, I would say it's like the black sheep of it. People don't hate it, but I don't think it gets the massive respect, obviously, that the part 4 and part 2, you know what I'm saying? Like those are like icons. So I would love Veronica to get some love. I really think it's underrated and it would really shine now. Enough time has passed, I feel. But that's just me. Where you at?
I gotta say 5, man. 5 is my favorite. Yeah. I love Resident Evil 5. I love that game so much. It's flawed. Anyone listening, do not get me wrong. I've not tricked myself that it's better than 4. It's better than 2. Don't get it twisted. But I love Resident Evil 5. I think the campiness of it, the weird B tier nature of it is so good. But the honest truth is there was a lot of missed opportunities and a lot of they really went left with this game energy. A lot of people don't like 5. 5 was my introduction to the series, so I think there's some nostalgia bias there, no doubt.
Got it. Okay, fair.
But I gotta say that 5 to me as a co-op game, I think Capcom, while it's smart what they did with 7 and 8, I want to see them try Resident Evil co-op again, man. I want to see them try. And I think 5 with a remake, making Sheva an actual character in the story. People don't know, but 5, Sheva was added on after the fact. And that's unfortunate because there are moments that could be compelling with her that are just never executed. She was not part of the original plan. So I think taking advantage of that would be great. I think making it a little scarier would be smart because it's not a scary game really at all. And I think there are moments they could have done that, like in the lab where you have those blind creatures that if you move, I think if you move too quick or if you make a noise near them, they won't see you, and so you'll be able to go by them, but you have to get really close. So that type of stuff was where tension was built, but it's not often enough. So I'd love to see them mess around with 5, but I think Code Veronica is the one they do next because now the Resident Evil cachet has been built up, right? Like the franchise is so popular. You see Resident Evil, you're like, oh, I'm going to go play that. I got to at least check it out. And like you mentioned, yeah, Code Veronica is definitely that. I haven't played it, but it's definitely that adored, underrated title in the catalog. And I feel like that'll probably be where they go because I see requests for that. I don't see requests for 5 ever.
Really? Wow, man. Yeah,
And it might be too new. It just might be too new.
It might be too new too. Yeah, I think so too.
But then if they do that, it's because you know what it is, Cog?
What you got?
It's the same thing I'm pulling for with EA, with Motive. You know, It's like, okay, you remade 1. I don't know if it needed it, but they did an amazing job. So I'm like, okay, sure. 2, again, same energy. Like you can remake it and I'm all about it. But what I care about is you're going to remake Dead Space 3, right? You're going to remake the one that was flawed, that had a lot of potential, right? The one that needs truly the remake at its core, that one. So I'm hoping that's what happens here with Resident Evil. It's like, yeah, you could do Code Veronica. You could do Revelations. You could. But 5 could really benefit from that, huh? It could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, the finances is going to dictate this. As much as some people don't like the practice, the financials say otherwise. The financials say people are flocking. So if they do it, they continue to do a good job, that gives the percentage chance for the next one to be made because they look at it, they're like, yo, this is an easy cash grab and we may have minimal resources as opposed to a brand new project all the way because you still have a foundation to work from. So yeah, I can see it. I can see it. And I'm with you. I like the challenges of those ones that weren't necessarily received well. And now they remake that and then like, yo, they did that. Like, that to me would be awesome.
Absolutely. Because I think you could argue and somewhat disagree. I don't think 4 really needed one. So they could surprise us. We'll see which way they go. If anywhere at all. Maybe they'll just keep making new ones after this. We'll see.
That'd be nice too.
Because like they're messing with the darling, right? So if you're messing with the darling, then all bets are off, right? You could just do anything now because you're remaking 4, which people think is a perfect video game.
Yes.
If they mess that up.
Very much so.
Oh no.
Yep.
Hell to pay.
Oh yeah, you messed that up. There will be tiki torches in the street. Like, do not mess that up, bro. Like that is beloved.
Last question of the show goes to Brett Herman. Hey guys, my question is about Metal Gear. A while ago, Metal Gear Solid HD collections were delisted due to outdated licenses for use of stock footage in the game. Konami claimed they would renew the licenses and get the games put back on the store. Well, it's been over a year now, and you still cannot play MGS 1, 2, 3, or 4 on Xbox or PlayStation. Am I mistaken, or did Konami lie to us? I thought this was a nice little one to bring back up, just to remind people of the digital age of gaming that we're in, and that it's easy to say one thing and do another, and that games can disappear before your very eyes. And this is why I told people, go pick up your HD collections on eBay. When this happened, I think I said on DD. I know I said on Retro Rebound. I was like, go pick up your HD collections. When I see something get delisted, I'm like, eBay. How much?
Immediately.
Because I know if it doesn't come back, double, triple, maybe. That's how these scalpers or resellers work. They just buy, and when they have the copy and they see it's gone, artificial price hike. It may come back in a year, 2 years, but now you're paying premium, so it's probably not even worth it. But Cog, your thoughts on MGS HD missing still?
Yeah, not very encouraging. Don't like the sound of that. It's sad when you can't. D-list is always bother me. Those always hurt. They just don't feel good. And sometimes you're just in that nostalgic moment, like, man, I want to go back to classic Metal Gear. You know what I'm saying? Snake. And David hates his voice. You know what I'm saying? Like, they better, especially if they promise, like, what's going on, Konami? Where you at? Like, where are you at with this? So, not a good look. And like you said, it behooves when you hear about an incoming delisting, get your joys taken care of, because don't let them 50 cent you.
Yes. So it's just
you know what I'm saying? Yep. Don't let them blood in the sand you. That's how they. Luckily, I caught somebody that didn't know, and the announcement just happened on the day. And I was like, oh, he don't know. Buy now.
Yeah.
I was like, eBay shipped to me immediately. And then the next day I looked at them blood in the sands, oh, they was ripping people off. I was like, oh, woo, dodged the bullet, because I needed that goodness. But yeah, this is the reality with game preservation and digital licensing. And it's a sad part of the business that I'm glad you as with Retro Rebound and everything that you do, you keep that alive, that, we got to preserve our history. It's a museum. You don't want these things to just, and then there's no way that we create these great moments that shaped our lives.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for everyone who wrote in. It's been a very fun episode. Cog, it's been a blast, man. Got to talk about Starfield finally. Got some nice release dates here that we can go over. And a ton of fun. So the hashtag, sir, what are you thinking here? I mean, it's got to deal with Starfield, right?
It's got to be Starfield. Right. It's got to be. It's like, we already did a delay DD, I believe. So I don't want to do that again.
September DD?
Yeah, September. Let's ruffle some feathers.
Yeah. September DD. Some people, let's do it. Just a little reminder of a slight delay for those who are displeased.
Yes.
So if you got this deep into the show, you want to let us know your thoughts, whether it be in the comment section or over on Twitter, use the hashtag SeptemberDD and tag myself at G27status and Cog at Lord Cognito. You'll find us both there. Again, that's Twitter. You can also go to the YouTube comment section. Whatever pleases you, use the hashtag SeptemberDD. Let us know your thoughts. We're looking forward to seeing them. Thank you again for all your mobile reviews. We appreciate them. Please do keep them up. They mean a lot. Thank you to those of you who support us on Patreon. That helps a lot. That keeps the lights on. So we do appreciate you for that, of course. But Cog, any closing thoughts?
No, fantastic show. Thank you, gaming news gods, for giving Duke one, right? Because I'd have
Wednesday
been
morning.
frustrated. They'd have hit us with the if they'd have hit us with the Thursday, I'd have been like, emergency DD, we got to do
emergency pickup. Canceled episode, Dustin. Stop it, Ben. Come on now.
Stop it. Push the pause button, but we appreciate LSM and we appreciate the gaming news guys has blessed us with this.
Absolutely. So let's hope we continue to be blessed. We've had pretty good luck this year. Knock on wood. We've had really good luck this year. So between the developer direct, this news, everything been right in time for the Dukes. And surprise, surprise, numbers have gone up. Whoa. Who would have thought? Oh, wow. Who would have thought being on the proper side of the news cycle is a good thing?
It's a good thing.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week with episode 115 of Defining Duke and Xbox Podcast. Until then, take your care. If I could speak in the closing part of our episode here, take great care of yourselves and we will see you next week. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.